Thank you. How you doing? It's going. Look, the last time. It's, I think people need to know that it's 5 different.
Yes, yeah.
You know,
I mean, they were out like this.
no, they still need to know. Some people don't know. Yeah.
Meeting is called to order. Please stand for a silent prayer and the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
City Clerk Black, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Noah. Councilwoman Covington,
Here.
Councilman Castle,
Here.
Mayor Shropshire,
Here.
Councilman Franklin,
Here.
Councilman Palmer,
Here.
Councilman Williams.
Here.
I'm here. I'm not sure why you all can't see me, just so you know I'm working on that, but I can see you. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
A quorum is present. Good evening, everyone. We can hear you, but no video. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming out to the Ferguson City Council meeting, the July 28th, 2026 meeting. Appreciate you coming out. We'll move to public comment. I would ask everyone to be respectful of everyone and the council. We'll give you 3 minutes to speak on any topic you prefer to speak on. Please stay within the 3 minutes. We have a timer for those who's first time coming to the meeting or new to speaking. We do have a timer here that you can see. When it comes to 3 minutes, I will allow you a few extra seconds, but please be respectful to the dais and to the rest of the citizens. Thank you. I appreciate it. First
Henry-
citizen.
Henry and Winifred.
Good evening, Mayor, Council,
Good evening, Henry.
citizens, and the employees of the city of Ferguson. I just have a couple of questions. The first one is a concern that was brought to me because I'm running for state representative for this district. I was asked about how the ARPA money was distributed. The citizen wants to know why they have to pay money to get money that was given to them by the federal government for relief. And the other one is to ask questions about the current audit. What are we doing? When are we citizens going to know what the audit is all about and what their finding is? Those are the questions I was asked while I was campaigning. And I think it's critical that we answer those questions that I raised in researching the upper money, you don't have to give money to get money. It was intended for people who are having financial difficulties. And also, the FNIP fund was a federal government fund that was given to an agency, and that fund needs to be accounted to both to the citizens and also to the federal government at some point. And the budget issue, we need to know the reason why we're having budget shortfalls, because you cannot spend, you cannot have, according to the state law, you can't have deficit spending. So apparently there was some planning before we spent. So those are the questions that I have for you, and it came from the citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Winfrey.
Tashana Parker,
Good evening, Mayor Shropshire, council members, and members of the community. My name is Tashana Parker. I am co-owner of Gamers Island, and I am also served as the treasurer of the Ferguson Special Business District Board. I'm here tonight to share our board's support for Ferguson becoming a Missouri Main Street community and why we believe this is such an important step for our city. When people hear Main Street, they often think it's just about making buildings look nicer. While that's certainly part of it, it's really about creating a stronger local economy. The Main Street program gives communities a proven roadmap for revitalization. It connects us with experts who have helped cities just like Ferguson strengthen their small businesses, attract new investment, fill vacant storefronts, improve commercial corridors, and create destinations where people actually want to spend their time and their money. It also helps us become more competitive for grants and other funding opportunities that can bring new resources into our community instead of relying solely on local dollars. What I appreciate most about the program is that it isn't about changing Ferguson. It's about building on what already makes Ferguson special. We already have passionate business owners, committed residents, and a community that cares deeply about its future. The Main Street program gives us that structure that we need, the partnerships, and the tools to bring those strengths to the forefront and help us to achieve a shared vision. When our businesses succeed, jobs are created. When our commercial corridors are thriving, property values increase. When people choose to shop locally, dine, and invest here, our entire community benefits. The Ferguson Special Business District Board is excited to be a part of that work, and we're ready. We believe this initiative has the potential to create lasting impact, not just for today's businesses here in the community, but for future entrepreneurs, families, and generations to come. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your continued leadership and investment in the future of Ferguson. Thank you.
Harold Coleman,
Good afternoon or good evening to the city of Ferguson, all elected officials and all citizenry. I'm here once again representing Community Response, a property owner here in the city of Ferguson. We purchased the property in November of 2024, and unfortunately during that closing, things weren't done properly. There were some charges that were accrued against the property prior to our ownership that still remain, and we are working on getting those charges satisfied by the parties. But for now, we are trying to work on the property. We are trying to improve it to bring it back to marketability. According to Ameren, Missouri, the property hasn't had an electric meter since 2014. We just want to improve the property. There's a lien on the property that was clearly there, or prior to the charges occurred, prior to us owning the property. All we want is we're hoping that the city of Ferguson will allow us to continue to work on the property while we figure out who is the responsible party and who is going to pay for that lien. At the point that the property becomes marketable, if we have to satisfy the lien at that point, of course, we won't be able to sell it to anyone without satisfying that lien if we've not been able to get that taken care of with the title company or the previous owner or the broker that sold us the property. In the meantime, we're hoping that we can get some sort of exception, as we've had one previously, so that we can continue to work on the property that's been vacant for some time and make it marketable. For whatever reason or whatever ordinance the city of Ferguson won't allow building permits to be granted while these liens exist. I understand that that makes perfect sense. We do not want to erase the lien. We're not evading the lien, but right now, as a small not-for-profit that's developing 2 properties in the city of Ferguson, we just need some help so that we can get these properties done, so that we can get them sold and hopefully create some owner occupants. So I'm praying that there's someone here on the council or someone here in the staff that can help us get this exception, which we have had one before, so that we can complete the repairs on the property. Again, we're not disputing the charges. We're gonna have the responsible person pay for that. But those charges were accrued prior to our ownership, and the title company made the mistake. So we're hoping that there's some way that we can get this exception again, so that we can continue to work on the property. I've shared information with several folks, and there's not been much movement just yet. And I'm here again at this meeting, and I'll be at the next one if necessary. But we want to develop this property and make it more as a lien that's been. So I'm hoping someone can help us with that.
Carla Townsend,
Greetings, council members and employees. My name is Carla Townsend, and I live on Ellison Drive. Since January, I have been cited 5 times by code enforcement for trash, tree limbs, trash cans on the curb too long, a fallen tree limb, my grass, and now, the other day, I come home and the guy had to go to my backyard to put up another code enforcement because I had branches that were growing over my fence. As I drive down Ellison, there was only one other neon green sign hanging out, and several of my neighbors had grass that was over 7 inches. The vacant lot across from me is overgrown. The house on both corners, the grass is overgrown. The house on Canfield the trash cans have been sitting there for over a month. The house next door to me has a barbecue pit sitting in the front yard. The business on the corner of Canfield and West Florissant has tree branches growing out, and people can't walk down the street. They have trash piled up behind the building. Just about every house as you drive down West Florissant that backs up to West Florissant, the fence line has branches and tree branches growing over it. I have been living in Ferguson for over 20 years, and this is the first time that I have been targeted since January. I have talked to Councilwoman Noah. She has complained about both houses on the corner. She has complained about the vacant lot across the street from me, and nothing's been done. But this guy had to get out of his car to go to my backyard to find an issue. That's a problem. I feel targeted, I feel profiled, because my front yard is cut every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks. I have over $100 in grass fee. So I have a very concerned. I have a notice to be at a council meeting tomorrow morning. I cannot be there. I have a job that is very demanding. I won't be there. I need to work with somebody in code enforcement because this is becoming a big problem.
Ms. Carla, would you talk to Dave, the city manager, here's his card?
Yeah, and I did call code enforcement all day today, and I did not get his current phone number.
Yes, ma'am. You have the city manager's number, and he'll take care of you.
Becky Mueller,
Good evening, Mayor Shropshire, members of City Council. I'm Becky Miller. I live at 435 Darst. And I would like to commend councilpersons Noah and Franklin for sponsoring Bill 7348. I know you're getting pushback. Some people don't want higher taxes. Some people think this is somehow cheating the fire department, even though the fire department won't lose anything and the revenue would help reduce the drain on the general fund. I've even seen an accusation this tax increase wouldn't be needed if only the data center had been approved. In reality, the bill is one practical measure to begin getting the city out of its current financial mess. This mess is the result of a long history of city mismanagement, bad decisions, and incompetence. The data center deal would have been comparable to covering up a stage 4 cancer with a Bugs Bunny Band-Aid. Real solutions will first require courage to face the financial problems, to stop avoiding the problems and trying to cover them up. Solutions will require wisdom to know that you don't have all the answers, the wisdom to ask for ideas from Ferguson citizens and from leaders in neighboring areas, the wisdom to listen with respect and to know how to bring people together instead of creating more division and more anger. Solutions require faith in our community that Ferguson has value and can get better. And solutions require integrity to base hard decisions on what is best for everyone in the community, not just a few. The integrity to do what is right and ethical instead of just what is expedient. These are the qualities I've seen in councilpersons Noah, councilperson Franklin, Mayor Shropshire. Theirs is true strength and community leadership. A lot of us in the community do notice, we do appreciate what you're doing, and this is a heartfelt thank you to all three of you.
Thank you.
Christopher Sadler.
What's up, y'all? I'm Topher. I normally like to free speak, but I got a lot to get through real quick here, so I'm just going to read. For starters, I've learned a lot about the FNIP program, as well as the private organization with a private charter known as FNIP, where ARPA funds were moved without due process or auditability. In 2025, it appears the remaining funds were used to pay the property taxes of members of the town's power clique of well-off insiders. To avoid major news coverages and issues for this town, I am asking the members of the council involved in this to resign before Ferguson becomes a national circus again. The scale of the FNIP program is well into the danger zone, but it pales in comparison to property values increasing by more than 50% on average over the past decade, while revenues in the town remain virtually flat. Meanwhile, Ferguson spends less on governance per capita than any other town I can find with a similar population and income level across the U.S., roughly half of what comparable towns spend. These kind of discrepancies merit special attention and investigations. Ferguson has serious, deep issues in need of resolution. As we look forward, instead of carrying on as we have in the past, I would like to suggest a path forward using an example. Last council meeting, there's a bit of debate about how and when to bring in the stick when it comes to lawn care enforcement. As leaders, you have other tools. Each neighborhood in this town has an association that you can show up to. You can ask them if they can send somebody out to see what the issue is. You can have them ask around and see if anybody can help them with that issue. You know, people go through stuff all the time. This is what leadership looks like. Building relationships, building connections, building solidarity between people. This is the kind of community building that creates accountability that can't be overwhelmed with cheap campaign gimmicks come election time. That's what it's going to take to ensure the corruption we see today is brought to an end and can't be repeated. That's what groups like Fighting for Ferguson have been doing in our town halls, where we've drafted alternatives for the Emerson campus and for paths to develop and improve life in Ferguson with direct input and involvement from community. You can't govern this town with a stick. You have to be leaders in this community. Part of this means having a council we can trust. If you would like to help us get there, people of the town, please reach out to Ferguson Advocates for Civic Transparency before next Tuesday on Facebook. Thank you.
Erica Brooke.
Good evening, Erica Brooks from 62 Mueller. I just want to bring up the awareness of the election on August the 4th, 2026. And making a wise decision as to know who to put in office that's gonna serve our community and speak up for us as citizens of Ferguson. I know we have former Mayor Ella Jones on the ballot, and I know as a citizen here in Ferguson, she didn't speak up for me. As a citizen, when it came to our bus route, she didn't sign my petition. She didn't participate in trying to keep our bus service. When it came to me being able to be empowered as a board member for the planning and zoning, I was ripped right out of the workshop that would have empowered me to be able to learn more about how to be a better member of planning and zoning. When it came to some other things as far as my livelihood and my job as a photographer, I lost a lot of business. And so when it comes to personally being benefited as a citizen of Ferguson on a larger scale and dealing with approximately maybe 88 other municipalities or whatever it is, when it comes to speaking up for us in Ferguson. And then also this last deal that we were left with as a community to be divided with this Emerson Center situation. I mean, that was a pile of crap to just like say, leave us as a city to not be protected as far as our health, as far as our future, and have to like argue over. That was a huge situation that was just left. And I think as a community, when it comes to voting for somebody, I've known Miss Retta Hurd Days for years, many years. And when it comes to her standing up for the whole, for the benefit of the community, that's what I've experienced as a citizen of her district. People can take this personal, I really don't care. But because I know, like I say, when she stood here and represented just one municipality, when it came to speaking up for us as a city, yeah, it was a select few people or organizations that there was a voice for. But when it comes to a massive scale of what's going on right now, I'm voting for Retta Hurd Days to make sure that it's not a personal situation. It's all about business and making sure that we're taken care of and not using personal vendettas to, benefit for, that office to have power and position and not, have a representation for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brooks.
Betty Little.
You have a name on after that is Grant, and Becky will speak. Betty will speak after that. Good evening. How is everything? I'm here to represent the block of Ellsworth, and we are experiencing Grant, Vanessa Grant. Thank you. I'm here to express what appears to be a bit of a harassment, and we on Ellsworth are much of a community. We look out for ourselves, each other's, vacant homes, and any and all things that happen on the block. And it feels at this point, we are experiencing a bit of harassment when we keep the peace, where the police or authorities are needed to be called for any reason or another. We and we assist the police when they are called. And the harassment in the peace that is on our block, we're not allowed here in the recent past, not allowed to do certain things that we were always able to do. On or about the lot at 837 Ellsworth. We are no longer able to use that lot where we, and as a community, have maintained that lot for 15 to 20 plus years with no assistance, no authority, nobody's asked, we've done, but we've hosted many events on that lot, on that space, and all sorts of things. Easter egg hunts and all of that, and we've maintained that space. And now we're told we can't use that space, which is a downfall to our block, which I'm certain is understandable. At this point, if that harassment, which is what it feels like, it feels very targeted and very harassment associated. If that is not associated, especially when we've actually inquired as a community and personally to purchase said lot next door on or about 837 Ellsworth, and not been giving any feedback and just pretty much just told no, then we feel that there, as a block, that there needs to be some sort of reimbursement made to the community for the care for that space for 20+ years. I think that's very logical and reasonable, to be honest. As well, if we're looking after all, that is inclusive, like I said, of all of the vacant homes or anything else, people moving in, we're helpful, we're knowledgeable, and people moving out, we're helpful as well. If we're not going to be just given basic level creature comfort accommodation for that, then we won't continue that. Like, it needs to be reciprocated. Thank you.
City manager, contact him, that's his card, and, talk to him about.
I will.
Thank you.
Betty Little.
Hello, my name is Betty Little. I say 839 Elsewhere Place. The lot she was talking about is 837. They called the police and say it's 831, but it's 837. And we've been maintaining the lot. I'm gonna say the same thing she said. I've been cutting that lot for over 15 years, me and my kids. And all I asked them to do is sell me the lot, but they won't nobody sell it to me. They said city, then they said Ferguson owned. I've been out to Clayton, they gave me numbers, ain't getting no feedback from nobody. I mean, nobody. So I feel if we've been taking care of the lot, if we doing this, because we got a lot of snakes and possums, mices and everything over there, that's why we keeping the lot down, because it won't come in to our home. So that's all I asked for, that we need that lot, and we want that lot. So, I don't know. So what you all think? What you all think? I don't know. What you think? You give me a call too?
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Jason Ware.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jason Ware. I'm a doctoral candidate at the University of Missouri, St. Louis, and I need your help and support. My doctoral research is around the commission report that was created about 10 years ago on the murder of Michael Brown, and I will be studying the effects of how commission reports following civil unrest influence community resilience. Participants' eligibility, are 18 years of older, residents, business owners, policymakers, and/or law enforcement in Ferguson, Missouri, contributors to the Forward Through Ferguson Toward Racial Equity Commission report, nonprofits or grassroots leaders, or anyone familiar with the implementation of that report itself. So if any of you all or any residents would like to participate in my report, I have flyers that I can pass out. Just scan the QR code, click the link, and I can follow up with you from there. And I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mildred Klein.
Good evening, Mildred Klein, 7444 Castro Drive. So tonight I wanted to get the most important question out the way. I am seeking a response from the council, the mayor, or the attorney. Is the code of conduct policy for elected officials legally binding? You understand the question? You understand?
I can.
Okay, I said, is the code of conduct policy for elected officials legally binding? Is my question. And the next thing I'd like to talk about is when we as citizens come up here to talk, you know, a lot of us don't know a lot of the on on the agenda, it'll have resolutions and bills. And before, a year or so ago, I asked if you all could take time, the attorney reads it, you know, and then the city manager kind of explains it. So I'm just asking if you'll go a little bit more into detail to explain the particular issue that when they read the resolution or the bill, if you could go into it a little bit more so us lay people can understand exactly, you know, what you're talking about. If you do that, you know, I know I'm speaking for a lot of people, we would really appreciate that. Lastly, I'd like to acknowledge and thank our Public Works Department led by Mr. Corey. I live in Ward 3, and they came through Ward 3 and they really made, I don't know if he's here or not, but they really made an impact with cutting back the weeds and the overgrowth in our ward. And we do feel like you guys heard us. We thank you all for responding and taking care of Ward 3 so we don't feel like the stepchild. So thank you so much to the Public Works. If you can just tell them that many of us in Ward 3 really appreciate all what they did. It was very noticeable and very much appreciated. Thank you.
Ms. Kleins. Before we move to the manager's report, I would like to say, and this is informational, when you come up to the dais to speak, you have to address the council. You can't ask the questions to the attorney or to any of the staff. I know I didn't know when I first started coming to city council meetings, I didn't know. When I had a problem, I thought I could address the staff and the attorney. But as time went on, I learned that public comment, you talk directly to the council. And then just like we talked about a minute ago, you got the card from the city manager. That is procedure. And I just thought I would let everybody know that we can't address the attorney and ask him questions as a citizen from the public comment portion of the meeting. Public comment is now over. Do we have a manager's report?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. I'm going to bring up Chief Troy Doyle. He's going to give you an update on the police department first. If that's okay.
That's cool. I really don't.
You want us to put it for you?
Yeah. It's not a PowerPoint. Mayor Shropshire, members of the council, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Here to provide you with the report from the police department. Couple things I'm gonna talk about this evening. We're gonna talk about, recent crimes, homicides, some reported incidents here, neighborhood quality of life issues, staffing, and that's pretty much it. But I want to address the elephant in the room. As we all aware, there's been a number of homicides in our city this year. We're up to 11 homicides this year. And to put that in perspective, we had 11 homicides all of 2025. So we're in a race to precede that or have more than we had last year. Out of the 11 homicides that we did have, 9 have been cleared. There's 2 that hasn't been cleared yet. One we're waiting on forensic evidence to come back, and the other one we believe we should have a resolution here very soon. Which give us, out of the 11, clearing 9 of them, it put us about an 82% clearance rate here in the city as far as homicides. If you recall last year, the national clearance rate was about 50%. It has gone up to 61% nationwide. However, here in the city of Ferguson, we're up to 82%, so we're still ahead of the national rate as far as solving homicides here. Let's see here. Be honest with you, all the crime categories that we have here in the city are up outside of auto thefts. We've seen a minor, well, not a minor, but a 7% decrease in auto thefts, but everything else, especially as it relates to violent crime, is up. The latest homicide at the BP gas station, as you all are well aware, young lady taking her child
her kids to get something to drink and was unfortunately caught in the gunfire, two groups of individuals. Obviously, she lost her life. Again, we're making some pretty good inroads on that particular case. Obviously, we can't talk too much about it. It's still an ongoing investigation. However, I did want to make comment that our response time on that incident, again, was 3 minutes. I think that's remarkable for us to get there within 3 minutes of the actual call that went out. One thing I wanted to correct on the report that I gave you, we talked about 700 more reports. That's incorrect. It should be 300 more incidents that took place now compared to this time last year. And essentially what that means is that these officers are handling more calls and more incidents than they did again this time last year. And again, it may not mean a whole lot to a lot of people, but to put it in perspective, if you recall last budget season, I said that even if we were full at 100% authorization, we still couldn't handle the call volume that we're dealing with then. So now we have increased to 300 more incidents this time than we compared last time. So to give you an analogy of that, that's almost like saying an ER, they deal with 100 patients a day, and that ER staffed with like enough nurses to handle 100 patients. But now you're dealing with 130, 140 patients a day. So eventually things have to be triaged. So the person that has a broken arm or the broken leg is probably going to be sitting in the ER for a while compared to the person who got a gunshot wound. To bring that back to our community, it's just so the abandoned cars, the suspicious people, those things that have to be triaged. These guys are constantly going on priority one calls. Also make my point, it's been numerous times this year that we had to put the department on emergency status. And what that means for the citizens here in Ferguson is that when we're on emergency status, that means that we're only handling priority one calls, which means like a robbery in progress, a burglary in progress. So if you call the police and say there's a suspicious person in my neighborhood or a quality of life issue, those calls are going to be delayed because again, the call volume is outnumbering the number of staff people that we have. July the 24th, I believe it was, I met with the Arbor Village, the apartment complex that we've been having a number of issues with. I met with the new manager there. Still, Arbor Village is still an issue or a concern for us with the police department. However, the new manager has made some promises that they want to improve everything. What I did do is give them what I call an action plan, some of the things that they need to improve on in the property as far as lighting, security, securing some of the vacant apartments and things of that nature. Again, it may not mean a whole lot, but I think that everything starts with documentation. We give them an opportunity to improve. However, somewhere down the line here, there's going to have to be a serious conversation between the city and the ownership there. And when that conversation happens, I think we will have documentations to show that, hey, look, you guys have been told, you've been warned, and you still fail to improve, the conditions of the property. Also, as it relates to staffing, well, let me back up a little bit. So since the budget, we have lost 2 people, and we have 2 other individuals currently right now. It's in the process of other agencies. So again, think about the call volume that I brought to you earlier and to what we're dealing with right now. On top of that, we have a number of officers that's either on family medical leave or limited duty. So that shortens the staff that much more. The easy question is, well, people leave, let's just hire people. Sounds simple, but what happens is that when we hire a new officer, that's 16 weeks of training. So that means that officer don't mean anything to the city for at least 4 months. With that being said, with those lost, we had to cut our overlay squad. So again, what that means for the city is that the overlay squad was used to address some of the hot spots. So when we start seeing a flare up of activity here, we could send these group of officers in this particular area. We no longer have that overlay unit because of the staffing needs. We had to distribute them to calls for service in order just to answer just the basic calls here in the city. On a positive note, it didn't cost the city a whole lot of money, but we did get we hired an officer from Paysdale. He was a K-9 officer. However, but he brought his dog over when he got hired. The city paid $1 for the dog, and I think it's in a resolution this evening for approval. But it's gonna help the city a lot in regards to, again, searching for suspects, weapons, missing people, things of that nature, whenever we need a K-9 unit. See, other than that, as you all well aware, the chairman of the Citizen Review Board, Jerry Knowles, passed away. Did attend that celebration this past weekend. A lot of people was in attendance. Everybody who know Jerry he's very passionate about, you know, police and community, police working together, doing better. Usually when you have a police chief and a chairman of a civilian review board, oftentimes you get friction, but that wasn't the case with Jerry and I. Jerry and I always seen things the same way. Want to see the police department, you know, do good for the community. And as I told him, Steph, the only way to honor Mr. Knowles is to continue to do what he wanted, is for the police department to do better for its citizens out here. Last thing I had was Officer Brown. Obviously, the trial was last week. The gentleman responsible for Mr. Brown's injury entered into a blind plea last week. But I do want to thank this governmental body, our residents here in Ferguson, for giving that family so much support over the past couple of years. As I told them, Travis will still be a part of this Ferguson family, and we'll still, you know, take care of this family as much as we can. This particular time, I open up for any questions that you all may have.
Oh, Councilwoman Covington.
Okay, I'm sorry. I have a couple of questions. So
Sure.
you said that you have an action plan for the apartment.
ma'am.
Did you give them a date on when they should have this stuff?
I gave
done?
them a 45-day follow-up date.
45, okay.
Yes.
And then, since you brought up the K-9, dog,
Mhm.
we paid, well, it's on there for us to pay $1, approving it tonight. Do we have in the budget to take care of the dog?
Yes.
Do we have the money already? Okay,
Yes, it's already been budgeted.
okay, all right. And that's all I have.
Councilman Palmer.
I've lived here for my whole life, 41 years.
Mhm.
I'd say the overall trend since I can recall for crime, especially violent crime, is up. Not just the last 10 years, the last 20 years since I can recall. Unfortunately, I don't think it's realistic to probably be able to provide you the staffing you think would be necessary to provide the basic services for calls for service. But we're in an environment where crime is increasing. So based on your tenure in your career in law enforcement, are there cities that get out of this rut where it's a constant struggle for revenue and on officers while crime is also increasing? Because I would imagine with crime increasing, revenues citywide, generally in other cities that have experienced this, go down.
Absolutely.
So what's from your law enforcement perspective, what's the solution?
Be honest with you, I mean, you know, we gotta follow the math. Everything boils down to dollars and cents. Obviously, as crime go up, our businesses leave, right? However, if you can't have police also begin to because they burnt out the call. So, again, I know we had to make some hard decisions this budget season, but we can get grants, but let's be honest, we can't run a police department off of grants. Even if you got a grant to hire some people, I mean, usually the grant is only for 1 year, and then the city still have to pick up that expense. The grants are only useful for us in regards to like buying equipment and things of that nature. That being said, Councilman Palmer, I mean, we continue to answer the calls. Our guys and gals, again, I couldn't be more proud of them. They continue to answer the bell. Like I say, some of the quality of life issues may have some delays on it just because of the sheer nature of the call volume, but we're going to continue to work hard and hope that our budget situation get a lot better because we need it.
Well, I don't think anybody would disagree with the statement that our department is night and day better than it was 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. It's significantly better. I mean, it was dangerous staffing levels when you came to work at this department.
Absolutely.
I'm just wondering, are there success stories anywhere you've heard of nationally where they've been able to right the ship and it just isn't just a downward decline?
I don't think it's a downward decline. I mean, obviously, I'm not in the economic development department, but I mean, any ideas that we can come in to bring additional revenue into the city as far as, you know, businesses and things of that nature. I mean, obviously, it's very helpful. Yeah, I mean, it's just what it boils down to. I don't have any specific examples to answer your question, you know, of any cities that have.
'Cause I've had people, myself, you know, in my close circles, but also residents, people are starting to get kind of worried because it seemed
Yes.
like years in the past, it was, you know, people that generally were up to no good were getting shot.
Right.
Where no shooting is good, but now we have innocent people being shot, it seems monthly, you know,
Absolutely.
and that's not a good thing. You know,
not.
it's one thing if it's guys are doing, you know, people are doing a bad thing in the back of an apartment complex and something happens and no one's talking, but now you got innocent people just being shot, going about their business, you know, and that really concerns a lot of people citywide. And I'd imagine your department's also concerned too.
Oh, absolutely. And, I mean, you heard me say it before, you know, one homicide is too many. I mean, you know, when we think about homicide, you know, oftentimes we think about numbers and stats and stuff of like that nature. I got to report stats because, you know, that's some of the things that is important to you all. But at the end of the day, I mean, again, these are kids, these are wives, these are husbands, these are daughters and sons of people, you know. Believe it or not, even the police department takes a lot of those things personal. I don't think people realize, even when these officers show up on some of these homicide scenes, I mean, they're imagine their own loved ones or family members at these things, and it is hurtful for them. I mean, we all like to think that we're tough individuals and we go through this, but our officers go through a lot as far as wellness or their well-being in regards to responding to these type of things, especially our younger officers.
Thank you.
I have a completely unrelated question. I've been having a conversation relating to the BP situation with one of my colleagues, and it appears that a good chunk of the serious crime is taking place in areas where there's a liquor license. And we were weighing the possibility of inserting a requirement into the liquor license to have video that covers certain areas and a certain resolution and a certain retention time and an availability to the police department requirement. But I don't know whether any of that's an issue to you guys or if everybody's already got great video and always cooperates and stuff. If it would be helpful to do that, I think we have a broad consensus on council to move forward and put that into the liquor licenses, so you have those tools in the future. But if you tell me everybody's already doing the right thing and it's not an issue, maybe we don't need to go there.
No, it's a good question, and I'll be willing to sit down with the city manager and this council in regards to what that looks like, because to your point, there's a lot of times that we have crimes that take place at certain businesses, but the cameras are only able to cover like the parking lot. We need a description of vehicle, but not the actual person itself. So, you know, we could sit down and talk a lot more, but one of the recommendations that we need is actually cameras that are, you know, I guess human height that's able to capture individuals coming in and out of the store. A picture of a person helps us more than the vehicle. Don't get me wrong, the vehicle helps out too, but you know, with lighting and all that other stuff, I mean, would help out. But they're just doing some research here recently. There's a study that came out, I want to say out of Sacramento, California, where they said the concentration of liquor establishments in a particular area can contribute also to, you know, to the rise of crime, you know, so that's something else that we need to pay attention to.
Is there and could you get a hold of any sort of best practices document in terms of providing adequate video coverage?
Yes.
Because that would help us craft an ordinance.
Yes, yes.
I would appreciate that, sir.
Yes, and I mean, everything again starts with documentation. It's kind of like what we mentioned with Arbor Village, you know. I know someone, you know, one of the council people recently brought up the calls for service, which there's a number of calls for service, but we can't just look for calls for service alone. We have to look at reported incidents. What reports were taken at that particular establishment that has caused, like, I would consider like a health issue for our community. So those are. Yes, sir.
Councilman Williams.
These are more of comments than questions. So I will be against any resolution to force a business to get cameras. Cameras cost anywhere from $14,000 to $33,000. That's an undue burden on business. Most businesses that are responsible do get the cameras on their own, but we should not force anybody to get cameras because of the expense. Secondly, I think you guys are doing exceptional job, but at the end of the day, you're a law enforcement. That means you enforce the laws. What's going on in North County is systemic, way before any of us was born. So you have a young man that basically raised himself because his parents were working 2 or 3 jobs to provide food. Typically in the summertime, crime goes up because kids are not in school. So the real problem is the younger generation. We need programs to help them. And I said a million times, we had a community college down there. When these kids get caught, let's put them in the program. So what you have in Ferguson and North County is a lack of education and opportunity, which breeds crime. Chesterfield is a lot bigger than here. They have liquor stores. They don't have the murders. So how can you explain it? Opportunity, money, resources. So we can give the police department $100 million. It could be 200% staff. At the end of the day, you guys are law enforcement. We need to go to the root of the problem, which are the young people. We can ignore them now, but they're going to grow up. And so when we ignore them when they're little and they're older, they're monsters. They don't care. Nobody cared about me when I was growing up. No food in the refrigerator. What do you think I'm going to do? I'm going to sell dope and I'm going to rob. But at the end of the day, you guys are law enforcement. You're going to enforce the laws. So we know what the problems are. Let's try to resolve it. Like you guys did the Explorer program, you're going after the youth. That's what we need to do. So if we keep ignoring the youth and not giving them opportunities in education, Ferguson doesn't stand a chance because these young people are going to grow up and become adults. That's it. Thank you.
Councilwoman Noah?
Okay, thank you. There's an echo because I had to have my phone and my laptop on because the video wouldn't show on my laptop.
We can hear you good.
You can?
Yes.
Okay, just right quick, I appreciate you, Chief Doyle, your presentation. My ask is that we just continue to work these issues like with Arbor Village, and the other apartment complexes. As Councilman Kassoff stated, I am going to support legislation for cameras to be mandated in these businesses that have a liquor license. I'm assuming it'll be more tailored towards convenience stores. I don't know. I know that this is a conversation that we have to have. You know, I don't know if it'll be for restaurants either because they also have a liquor license. But I'm going to do my best to work with the council and the mayor. I also would like to see footage, you know, inside the business and outside of the business, whatever we can do to support FPD. So going back to the apartment complexes, I would also like to know how the apartment complexes can work with the city as far as having security. Because we don't have the staff, you know, and FPD is answering an abundance of calls. So is there an opportunity to talk to the apartment complexes to ask if they're considering hiring security? Is legislation needed for apartment complexes that have an X amount of units? Is that something that we can legally do? I don't know. This is a question, you know, again, we don't have to talk about it right now. But as a council rep, what more can I do to support our staff, to support our residents? crime happens, you can't 100% prevent crime. This is not about blame, but it is about attempting to be preventative. And there's a lot going on, and FPD just cannot be everywhere. And these apartment complexes, they can do better, just like the businesses. Some of the businesses, I'm not speaking about all the businesses, but we know what businesses that I'm referring to, and it's constant, it's ongoing. There's a lot going on. So again, I appreciate the presentation. I'm looking forward to working with you all to see as council reps what we can do to help prevent and save life, the preservation of life. Thank you.
Chief, would you like to?
Is it a question? I'm sorry. Was it a question?
Well, it was a comment and a question, but I did mention about the apartment complexes. Is there okay, so we're going to work towards a mandate for the cameras, for the businesses. What about the security for the apartment complex? Is there an opportunity for legislation if an apartment complex has a certain amount of units? Is security necessary for them to hire their own private security? Can we mandate that?
Right, so, I mean, obviously, that's a question that's probably gonna be geared more towards the city attorney. But to the camera question, I know right now, as it sits today, we cannot go to a business and say, you gotta put a camera in there. Obviously, we have to have some legislation or ordinance passed in the city that require what everybody needs. We can't like do it right now and say, hey, you gotta do this. I mean, legally, I mean, we just don't have.
Well,
the
no,
ability.
I know that. That's why I said that I'm going to support, working with Councilman Cassoff, the council, whomever towards that legislation. I mean, I know we can't just go into business and we have to have legislation for that, but it also goes back to the apartment complex. And again, that isn't a question for you. That is a question for the attorney, the city manager, for the council to have a discussion, and we can talk about it later. But, I kind of just bundled all that together because you mentioned the apartment complex or the village. And I saw in the presentation for the month of August, I believe I saw that you're planning to meet with the business owner of Amico BP located at 1032 South Florissant.
Correct.
So, like I said, I just kind of bundled all that together. My goal is to support the city how I can support legally through legislation. And I just want you to know that. And that these presentations are important to keep residents engaged and informed so that the community doesn't think that the council is just ignoring these issues and we're just quiet and we don't care.
Yeah, and
So thank
I
you.
can comment on that, and I think it should be clear to the residents too. I think the council, city manager, everybody is very supportive on trying to improve things in the community. It's just tough here as far as budgets, and I don't know who to blame or if there's anybody to blame. It's just the position we're in now. So what we have now, we're gonna take the resources that we have, and we're gonna do the best that we can. And again, these guys and gals have been doing a great job out there. The other thing I did forget to mention is that we did attend a number of community meetings since our last meeting. Forest Wood, all the neighborhood association, we have had some representation there, which is extremely important to me. I can sit up here and I can comment from this podium, but unless people see us, I mean, that's the only way we're gonna be able to build trust.
Councilman Franklin, and then Councilman.
So Chief Doyle, I just want to say thank you for the work that your men and women do in our city. It's not an easy job. You guys put your bodies on the line day in and day out, and a lot of times somebody's still feeling like they're slighted. I just kind of wanted to remind the community, remind the council that we can't police our way out of poverty. And the issue in Ferguson, the issue in North County is poverty. You know, in 2010, 2012, the poverty rate in Ferguson, it doubled. And I'm pretty sure when this next census comes out, it's on the rise. And with poverty comes crime. My colleague, Councilman Palmer, asks, is there a model of what happens when things like this? And I can speak to that. I grew up in a model. I grew up in a West End neighborhood in the city of St. Louis, 80s and 90s. And during that time, it was very violent, a lot of gangs, a lot of poverty, a lot of killings. So fast forward today, it's one of the emerging communities in the city of St. Louis with a lot of home ownership. My mother still lives there. What changed? And I'll tell you, in my opinion, where it started was with, what was it? Congressman Bill Clay. He knocked down the Cabinet Court projects, which was the centerpiece of the neighborhood where a lot of the criminal activity was going on. It was the hub. And he knocked down a lot of other residential apartment buildings throughout that neighborhood and replaced them with single family households. Now, I remember as a kid, we were thinking like, man, who's gonna buy that house for 200-something thousand and live here? We thought it was crazy. But what we saw was a gradual shift in the community of home ownership, which led to that one neighborhood has like 5 different neighborhood organizations that are organized. And they got the intention of what? Private investment. You know, you got the Delmore Divine, you got a lot more people in that community now with a vested interest. So it didn't happen overnight. You know, it took 20 years, but when I think back as a child in that community, I didn't see that coming. And then they even put in measures with non-for-profits to keep the community from being gentrified. So I know individuals in that community have gotten money to stay in their homes, develop their homes, even money to invest. And so it's definitely, in my mind, we have to get serious about poverty and home ownership in our community, because we can't police our way out of all of North County. A lot of these crimes have been people coming from outside or passing through our community. There's nothing we can do to stop that. But if we enhance our community, I look at our cousins to the south, Bell Noor, other side of UMSL, thriving, African-American, affluent community. What's different over there than here? High rates of home ownership. You know, and so we got to get serious about that. And maybe that's going to require us to partner with whoever our congressperson is, because I saw it happen in my old community, you know, with Congressman Clay. And I think once we get that, then it becomes a thriving community. And I do agree with you, Councilman Williams. We do have to make a real capital investment in our youth, you know, because I don't think it's the majority, but there is an element of our youth that are self-destruct mode. But I think if we give them something else to focus on, I spent most of my time at the park playing basketball. So when I got bored at 2 a.m., I went and shot basketball. Our kids now, they don't really go outside unless they're getting into trouble, because the playgrounds, we used to be able to get hurt at playgrounds. Now they all catered towards small children. So we got to do something to occupy their time in safe spaces across our city. And I think, you know, back in the day, I was on the back end of it, but St. Louis City had citywide recreation, where a community center competed against other community centers in all type of sports that kept us out of trouble. Were there occasional fights? Yes, but it occupied a lot of the time, especially in the summer months when the kids are not in school. And so I think as a council, we got to get serious and creative on ways how we can do that here in our city. And it may require some things have to go. And then we have to partner with our federal folks and get some money in here and build some communities that people will want to, you know, be a part of. So, but again, thank you for everything you guys are doing. Keep up the good job. And you know, you got our support 110%.
I wanted to mention too, years back, I read about a voluntary camera program that they did in Detroit. I think they started with a couple businesses, but then I think it grew to hundreds, I think, that had, you know, like the green light cameras or something. I think that the owners of the businesses actually voluntarily participated and paid for that, but I think the police would monitor the cameras and use them for evidentiary purposes. So I wasn't sure if it's something you're familiar with, or if you have any kind of peers in the industry that might know if that was effective or not, or if it is. I think it still goes on. So
yeah, it does. And I was thinking about that over the past few days when we were talking about the whole BP situation. I think that'll be something wonderful for our city if we can get our businesses to do that, to be able to, you know, problem that we have, some businesses have old systems to where I mean, believe it or not, we got businesses still run off of CDs and stuff as far as, or what they call DVDs or whatever it is to keep footage. It's not, the term, but sometimes it's difficult for us to retrieve the evidence. And then some of our businesses also only keep data for like 7 days. And, and again, we'll start talking resolutions and ordinances somewhere down the line. But I mean, it should be something that incorporates that they should be able to keep a store data for at least 30 days. Because if you have a shooting or a homicide or something today, 7 days is not long enough for a crime to be solved.
I think in Detroit, it was like, hey, they sent a flyer out, they marketed it and said, hey, you have to use this company to install this equipment. That way there's,
Okay.
redundancy within the system. So when your officers show up, they know how to use it.
Absolutely.
And then the quality is there. I'd imagine that's probably how it was done. Cause I think it's streamed to the station. Now that could prove a caveat here since we don't dispatch, but I'm sure it would be helpful at least to have that information. And I'm sure technological advances now make it viewable from a patrol car. So.
And great idea. I love it. So also keep in mind too, the order to monitor the cameras that comes with an increase with staff or someone to hire to monitor those cameras.
Right. Thank you.
So I know, St. Louis County Police, the intelligence wing, they kind of have a surveillance program where they use covert cameras to try to, track potential suspects and things like that. And I know they partnered with some of the other departments within St. Louis County because they use them for trash and then, one department pays the data, another will buy the cameras, and then police, you do all the legwork. But I say that to say, do you think it would be worthwhile to maybe reaching out to them about some type of potential MOU where, it'd be a joint thing where you use these cameras for crime and maybe dumping and then we come up with some type of pay structure or process? Because I know there's some other departments at the county that might be willing to purchase cameras as long as, say, the city handles the enforcement and any type of legal action that takes place. But I think it might be worthwhile as a way to just save on costs because, like you say, cameras can be expensive because you got to pay for the data, which is kind of the most expensive part.
It doesn't, to your question, so retired from the county, so I got a pretty good working relationship with the county. Definitely a great working relationship with the new chief there. We came up together. But believe it or not, we work with county intelligence all the time. In fact, on a number of our recent homicides, we work with county intelligence. Also keep in mind too that we also have a detective that's assigned to the DEA, and we're also able to have access to their covert equipment too when needed.
Ever since the incident at the BP station, it's a little different when you're the mayor. It's a little different when you're the mayor of the city. Ever since this happened, I've rode the tour of the city. And I went out to Park North. If every apartment dwelling complex, I don't like to use that word because it sort of puts you in a box. Every apartment dwelling would be like Park North. He has flock cameras. He has maybe like 5 or 6 flock cameras around his premises. He has cameras on his poles. He sets dumpsters around his area and is spick and span. If where our violence is being done, if they would tear a page out of his book, I think that maybe if we get together with I know you've did it numerous times, but sometimes we have to keep doing it and doing it. If we as staff at PD, code enforcement would get with these apartment owners, managers, their staff, and emphasize what Park North has done, it might help. I'm not saying that would be the solution to all the crimes. For example, just took a tour with Public Works 2 weeks ago. We're sitting at the light of Carson, and all of a sudden we hear gunshots ringing out. A rolling gun battle right down the middle of our city. That's coming into our city. And I would like for you to let us know if you have it, I don't know for sure, the percentages of violence that's done from others coming into our city. Because we got a bad well, it was true, but to me, it was a poke in our eye from Elliot Davis this past week. I don't know if the citizens saw it, but he named every daggone crime that we had. But he never went on to say, well, this person came in from here, because he doesn't know. So do you know about the percentage of crimes that are committed from other people that don't even live here? Because we're getting a rap on this, and I know for a fact, these people come in and do crimes. Do you know about the percentages that we might?
I don't have the numbers in front of me. However, I can, be able to provide that information for you. Probably shouldn't say this, but I'm saying it anyway. Also part of the negativity is us internally here too. I think often we talk about all the bad that's going on in the city, and we never ever talk about a lot of the good that's going on. So part of it is our fault too. And when I say our fault, I'm talking about as a city. We're quick to point the fingers on what's not right, but we rarely point the fingers on what is going on, right? So we have to take part of that blame too.
Thank you, Chief. I appreciate that, because this has not been a good month for our city, or a good 6 weeks. And there's been a lot of good that has go on in our city, but it never gets publicized. And I think I know the police department is doing a great job. You have officers that are dedicated to doing their best or being better than their best. We have a detective force that is relentless. They're going to get their man. Whoever commits a murder or homicide in our city, they're going to get him. They work diligently to find the culprits or the person that pulls the trigger. And I want to commend you and your staff, your detectives, and the officers that put the hours and the time in for our city. And I want to thank them, and thank you too, Chief.
Thank you.
City Manager, you have any other reports this evening?
I'll leave it at that unless there's questions.
Yes, Councilman Franklin.
So we heard some public comments about code enforcement and the door hangers. So could you explain to the community how our inspectors decide on where they're going to go day to day? Is it based off of complaints coming in, or is it just a proactive approach?
All of the above. So typically, we have functions on our website first and foremost that are report a concern. If you go to the portal, any citizen, any person can complete a report of concern. So we delegate those out by ward. Currently, it used to be 1 per ward. We had 3, currently have 2. So the city's basically split in half right now. And so those get delegated out. If they have extra time in between their inspections, everything else that's going on, we ask them to do so many proactive. So they may be in an area and patrol that entire street and write up, hey, this is going on, this is going on, but it's all based on the time they have available in a 40-hour week, and kind of go from there. And then to go a step further, once they get the report concerns and everything else, they have to resolve them or do rechecks or go back and take inspections, those kinds of things. So you mentioned a hearing tomorrow. We have those once a week where people are coming in for hearings for tall grass, trash, those type of things. Well, the week or the 2 days before those hearings, they're going back and rechecking those based on the tickets they issued a week before and saying, yes, it still is an issue. We still have to have that hearing on Wednesday. We still have responsibilities there to take care of that kind of stuff. And then we just go from there. So it's just a revolving circle, but to answer your question, all of the above.
And I guess if a resident wanted to know, like, hey, did somebody call in or email on me? I know a lot of times it's anonymous, but I guess if people want to know if this is a proactive issue, or if someone actually complain on the property, they can reach out to the city, or
They
they
can,
do a sunshine request, or? Cause you know, my concern is, you know, I know how folks are, sometimes people feel targeted, and this is my line of work, and a lot of times, most of the complaints we deal with are neighbors, and even with the, like you said, technically, staff, they're not allowed to go on private property without consent. But if your neighbor gives consent, they can go and get a view of your backyard from either side or the next block over. So sometimes it's, you know, I don't, like I said, I'm not speaking like I know what's going on, but I just want you all to be clear as residents that, you know, it can be proactive, and then it could just be one of your neighbors that dimed you out for whatever reason. I don't know, but you could get that information from the
And
city, because
I have a different view, and a couple council people and I have discussed this in the past. So typically you can type in any address. You type in your own address in the system, you can pull it up, you can see everything that's going on. If there's a report of concern about you, you may not be able to see all the information as far as who put that in, that kind of stuff, but you can go on the portal, type in your physical address, see what's going on with that property, if there's a report of concerns, if there's a nuisance violation, if there's a code enforcement, liens, all of that stuff is publicly available through that portal based on the address.
okay, thank you.
Anything else, city manager?
Not at this time.
Okay, we move on to our special presentation. We have a special presentation this evening from Respond, and are they here this evening? Oh, yes, she's here. Okay, Heather,
Yes.
Heather represents Respond.
Yes.
Thank you for coming this evening.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council, and everyone here from the city of Ferguson. I'm really excited to be here today. My name is Heather Craig, and I'm a recruiter for the Respond program. I work for the Foster and Adoptive Care Coalition. Speaking about things that are going great in Ferguson, Ferguson had an amazing Juneteenth event. We were so excited to be part of that, and we spoke at the Juneteenth event. Can you hear me?
Yes, would you
Okay.
speak to the council, please?
Okay, sorry. And we were able to speak at the Juneteenth event. And so the mayor thought what we had to say was great. And so we're here today to kind of share our presentation. Okay, so this is me and our team. Again, my name's Heather Craig. I'm the recruiter for the Respond program. I'm also personally a former foster parent and an adoptive mom. The director of our program couldn't be here tonight. Her name is Jenny Jones. We also have family development specialists who are pictured here, and she definitely deserves her own slide. Missouri State Representative Kimberly Ann Collins is really a champion for our organization. So I'm going to go through this pretty briefly. I know we've got you all have a lot to cover today. But Respond was an agency that was created in the 90s, really had a heavy focus to recruit African-American foster and adoptive parents for Black children that were in care. The Respond program was discontinued due to lack of funding. And so Representative Kimberly Ann Collins, who was adopted through the Respond program, she definitely shares her story publicly, really led an effort to secure funding, and she continues to do that today. In 22, the Foster and Adoptive Care Coalition was able to kind of put the Respond program under their wing. And since then, we've really been doing our best to bring awareness to the issue of the needs of Black children in foster care. So right now, only 13% of our foster parents identify as Black or African American, while 70% of our foster children identify as Black or African American. So when I hear tonight that we're worried about the state of the children and how are the children, it definitely strikes home for us at the Foster and Adoptive Care Coalition. We know that Black children remain in care nearly a year and a half longer than their white counterparts. These are just some other facts. There's been lots of studies done. We know that when children are able to remain in culturally competent homes with people that share their heritage and culture, they have greater self-esteem, higher education levels, decreased levels of depression, all of those things that definitely go into creating a well-rounded adult that's able to thrive in any community. So how we respond, our goal really is just to address the social injustice by making sure that we speak anywhere and everywhere that we can, spread the word about Respond. and really work to pair potential foster parents with me as the recruiter. We talk all about the ins and outs of foster care. A lot of people in the Black and brown communities have heard different things. You know, we've got different myths. We heard this, is this true? Is that not? So we really look to dispel those myths. We really also aim to give them a face that maybe looks like them, to talk about some really sensitive topics and sensitive issues. And our sole objective is just to increase the number of more Black families in foster homes in the St. Louis area. This is just a little bit of our process because people want to know, right? What does it take to be a foster parent? Initially, someone calls, they say, hey, I want to foster. We also have a program for respite providers. So maybe fostering is not something that you can commit to full time. Respite care is like a babysitting service for kids that are in foster care. We're always in need of respite homes, but we have what's called a program meeting. We talk about what exactly fostering is, what it isn't. The number one thing that I want to impart on everyone here is our goal is for our children to return back to the family of origin. We want all of our kids, when and if it's a safe and appropriate situation to do so, to go back home. So we really push foster care, temporary care, while case managers and state workers do whatever they need to do to remedy the situations that brought a child into care. We do home assessments. We do a training. It's a 10-week long training. Right now, the training is virtual, which is a very big thing for people. You can take the training from the comfort of your home. We do a full licensing profile on people that want to be foster parents. So we do federal background checks, and, you know, we get all sorts of references and referrals. But we do talk to people about the fact that we don't expect everyone to have a squeaky clean background. So if anybody wants to foster and they say, hey, you know, when I was 18, I did this thing, I have this charge, does that mean that I can't foster? Usually that doesn't have a bearing on it. We want to make sure that our kids are in safe and appropriate homes, but we also know that sometimes, you know, things happen, and we really are looking at where you are now. As long as there wasn't some heinous crime against a child or a person, we usually can work around those things. Everything is reviewed on a case-by-case basis, however. We do find that people that maybe weren't the best students in school, or maybe did have something, you know, in their background, does not make them a terrible parent, right? I'm here to tell you I've been where you are, and we're going to get through this and look at where I am now. And so we definitely want to impart that upon anybody that's considering but may be hesitant due to whatever's on the background for being a foster parent. Following licensure of being a foster parent, our program stays with all of these parents for at least 2 years. We provide that ongoing support. A lot of people say that they get out of fostering because they feel like nobody is listening, or they can't get a hold of a case manager who is completely overworked. And so we really want to be that sounding board for those families and for those kids. And so we stay with all of our families at least for 2 years. We offer support groups. The Foster and Adoptive Care Coalition, which is the umbrella, again, that I work under, offers extensive training. We're always there, always a listening ear. These numbers, I think, are a little dated, but this is just a slide we wanted to put up. So we've had 25 families completely licensed and counting. So that means they've gone through the full 10-week training program. There are other trainings that they also have to do. They've gone through background checks. They've had people in their home at least 4 times. They've done all the necessary adjustments to make sure that their home is safe and appropriate for children. We've placed 33 children in homes. Siblings is a really big one. Older youth is a really big one. We get people that say, oh, you know, yeah, to foster a baby would be fun. We really need to get our teens. We have so many teens that really need loving homes and stability. We attend, like I said, all different type of events in the community, the Ferguson Juneteenth event being one of those. We love to build partnerships, the police departments, libraries, churches. So if anybody ever has any connection to anything, any opportunity for us to come and speak, for us to spread the word, we definitely want to be there. These were just some impact statements. I won't take the time to read those, but people really seem to love what we're doing and really want to help. And so we just really appreciate that. These were just some of our families that said, you know, we explained our needs and we went through the process. They offered support. And so we really like to have those on there. We're going to skip the video. There's a really cute animation that they made, but we're going to skip that for time's sake. And if it allows me to skip it, okay. These are just some myths that people often think when they think about foster parents. Are foster parents just babysitters? Absolutely not. When you're a foster parent, you definitely are parenting that child. So if the child gets sick at school, you're going to pick up the child. If you need to make some sort of educational plan for the child, you need to attend IEP meetings. That's definitely something that you would do. Are you too old to foster? Absolutely not. All of our traditional foster parents are at least age 21 that can go on up. Do you have to reside in a large home? Absolutely not. You can be owning a mansion. You can rent an apartment and everything in between. Do you have to be married? No. Our foster parents come from all different type of relationship backgrounds. We happily welcome single, widow, divorced, separated, members of the LGBTQ community and everything. So all of those are myths. These are just some next steps we put up here. If anybody has any questions about anything, I definitely have my card. Our location has recently changed. We just got a building on North Lindbergh, kind of in the Olivet area. So if you get my card, the phone number is still accurate, but the address has changed a little bit. We got a bigger space to be able to spread our wings and do more programming. So yeah, I think that is it. I don't know if anyone has any questions. Thank you.
I think it's an excellent program. I like what I heard. So the question I have, so your mission is basically to put Black and brown kids with Black and brown families, correct?
Specifically respond, we do offer cultural competence training for all of our families. We know that obviously all of our kids are not in homes with people who look like them, but yeah, under this program specifically, that's our goal.
So that's my question. So what if there is a Black or brown kid, but it's a loving white family, Asian family? Would you guys let them foster, or do you just focus on African-American family?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Most of our children are not in homes with people who look like them. This is just a targeted program, a targeted section where we're trying to bring in more Black families, but no, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Franklin?
I've always been curious. Why is it so expensive to adopt a child?
Yeah, so to adopt from the state, it is not. The state covers any adoptive family's cost to adopt from state foster care. Now, you're talking about private adoptions, that's out of my realm, but it is not expensive to adopt or cost anything.
Adopt from the state, you said it's free?
Mhm.
They actually pay you.
So I thought they only
Essentially.
paid for foster, but adoption, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Appreciate it.
Mhm.
Thanks.
Yep.
Anything else? Anybody else? Heather, thank you for
Thank you
coming.
very much. I
Good.
appreciate it.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate you for coming. Thank you. This is our special presentation, but before I go any further, I feel a little bad because I didn't recognize our city administrative staff and what they do. I appreciate you, staff. Everyone that's here tonight, I appreciate you coming to our meeting, because I know you'll have to be leaving soon before our meeting maybe is over. But I just want to let you know, we appreciate you and what you do and how you keep our city running from the staff point of view, from public works to code enforcement to the economic development. Everybody, Nathan, Luke, everybody that's here, HR, city manager, clerks, I appreciate you guys. You keep our city going the way it should be moving. Thank you. Now we move on to our public hearing. We have a sales tax increase public hearing. City manager, can you provide information on this hearing?
Yeah, so we'll just open up the floor for the public hearing portion. This is the public hearing for the ordinance that will be read later this evening.
Are there any questions, comments from council? City clerk? Is there any public comments?
Sorry, Mildred Klein.
Mildred Klein, 7444 Castro So I was 5 sheets. So I signed up for the sales tax increase. So, let me just start off saying that I am against, the sales tax increase for the fire department, for funds for the fire department. I sat in on those budget hearings, those budget sessions, and it was painful. It was a painful budget session. Where the police department, our police chief stood up here and talked about how they're working on a skeleton force. They're working with a skeleton force. I didn't really hear the fire department express that type of where they were at as far as their staff. But the police department, it got across to us that they are like skin and bones working for them. So I am a member of the Neighborhood Policing Steering Committee, the NPSC, and as being a member, I get the opportunity to see about the training, witness the training and all the different things that the police department, the many calls that they have. And to me, that's what the sales tax increase should be for the police department, not the fire department. Because as the MPSC, what we're looking for is community engagement from our police. We're looking for problem solving from our police department. We're looking for community policing. We want police to come, engage with the community, get out their course, and we don't have enough officers to do those kind of things. If we really want policing to be done the right way, we need to increase their staff. Now, the fire department, I can't get with that. I'm sorry, because it seems like I'm sure they have needs too, but not as much as the police department. We don't need, some people just want them to write more tickets. That's not what we want them to do. We want them to actually protect and serve the community. We don't need a slave patrol police department mentality. We want them to come and engage with us, build a rapport with us. And for them to be able to do that and get off their course, we need more people on their staff. So that's what I'm advocating for, not a tax for the fire department. And so also, I hear that they got a K-9 coming over. We have a K-9, and the last time we had a K-9, when the Department of Justice looked it up, that K-9 dog only bit Black people. So I'm hoping that whoever comes over with this police dog, they be careful on how they let that dog loose on people that look like me. So, and the police that's here now, or not the police that were here prior to 2014. So we have an entirely different police department, and they are here because they want to be here and they want to make a difference. We need to support them. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Klein. This concludes our public hearing on the sales tax. We have a special permit for a radio tower hearing. We have a public hearing on the radio tower. City Manager, can you provide us some information on that, please?
This is just the special use permit for the radio tower that is going to be over on the community college campus over at Flow Valley. I'll just turn it over if there's anybody to speak about this. We'll open it up for public comment first, I believe.
Okay, Erica Brooks.
Ms. Brooks?
She left.
That's it?
So there were some people here to speak about it as well. Do you want to hear from them now, or do you want to wait till you're actually up for the special use permit? It's up to you.
We can hear from them now.
Okay, so now you guys can come up.
Let's move on. Yes, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name's Paul Huddleston. I work for St. Louis Community College with the radio station.
I'm Nick Workman. I work with CJP. We're overseeing the install.
And we just wanted to say that it's really been a nice thing to be able to say we are the only radio station that is licensed to the city of Ferguson for the last 50, you have to give me a second, math is not my strong point, I talk, 54 years. So we were founded in 1972, and we have enjoyed helping the community of Ferguson, being active in the community. Unfortunately, this year we had to miss the Twilight Run, but I think I've made the last 4 or 5 of them. It's one of the cheer stations. We enjoy being in the city of Ferguson, and we would like to be able to continue to do that. So if anybody has any questions, we're happy to answer them as much as possible.
I have a couple. One
Sure.
anyway. Where's this tower going to be located at? Out on the campus? Is it going to be on top? Some are on top of the building, some are sitting beside. Is it by the new constructed building that was put in?
It's actually going to be off of kind of the service road around back where the police station is. It will be adjacent to the building, not on top of. It'll stand about 20 feet, 25 feet above the building, but it's a
And how tall is the structure?
total structure is 50 feet.
50 foot?
Which is comparable to the one that was just torn down.
And how many dishes will you have on that structure?
Oh, no dishes.
No dishes.
No,
Oh, it's just
no.
a plain
Just-
radio,
just
signal,
one.
signal out.
Yeah.
Okay, right on. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
very much.
This ends our public comment on the special use permit for as the radio tower hearing. Are there any questions or comments at all from council?
Yes, my
Ms.
hand was
Cafuso.
up.
Oh, sorry, Miss Noah.
Well, I just wanted to say hi to Paul. We met a few years ago and he actually advertised some the programming for Prague. Well, he didn't, but the radio station did. So I wanted to ask, is there an opportunity for that to happen again? Because there was no charge. And since not just for Proud, but for any of our nonprofits or organizations, not so much businesses, but just associations like Proud or the Ferguson Historical Society, maybe Ferguson Park and Rec. Is there an opportunity to announce any of our event programming on your radio station for no charge?
Yes, yeah, that's going to be available. As a matter of fact, I exchanged business cards with Ms. Craig because that sounds like something that we would like to get the word out about as well. Excuse me. Yes, we will be happy to, if there are any community organizations that wish to provide information to the community through our station about community-facing programs. If, for instance, Parks and Rec had any type of youth initiatives that they wanted to make sure that people are aware of, we're more than happy to get that word out.
Well, I appreciate that. And I appreciate you, Mayor, allowing me to ask the question. I mean, Mayor, you mentioned earlier about people not knowing about the good news coming out of Ferguson. So if there's an opportunity there, just like with our FPB, and all of the events, like we have the National Night Out coming up, if there's any opportunity to partner and there's no charge. But that's all I wanted to ask, and thank you, and good seeing you, Paul.
It was good seeing you too. Well, sort of. I can kind of see you every once in a while when the camera comes on.
Yes, Councilman Williams.
I wasn't aware that Flow Valley even had a radio station. So what is the moniker and what is the station number?
We're 89.5 FM.
Okay.
We also broadcast on an internet stream. So right now we do not have the tower, obviously, because the building that it was on is torn down and we're waiting to put this new one up. In the meantime, you can tune us in anywhere in the world on our internet stream, which is rdo.to/KCFV. And yeah, you would not be alone. A lot of our students have been there and walked right past the room for the last 13 years that I've been there and said, wow, we have a radio station here? Yes, we do. It was student organized in 1972. It is a student-run radio station. We have been trying to get back to previous staffing numbers since COVID. But prior to the pandemic, we had roughly 20 to 25 student volunteers taking classes and participating as on-air talent for the radio station pretty much every semester. So it's a nice opportunity for our students to be able to get out there and find their voices. We also work with journalism students. I've got a young man named Kevin Hawkins who is currently trying to get a little bit more news programming out about things that are relevant to this community. He's one of us. He lives around here, and he wants to make sure that people know about things that are happening. So, any other questions?
Okay.
Thank
Thanks
you.
a lot. We appreciate you. This ends our public hearing, a special use permit for the radio tower. We move on to the child care special use permit. We have a special use permit for the child care public hearing. City manager,
It's
could
the
you give us
same,
some information on that, please?
yeah, this is a special use permit for a child care center at 1020 South Florissant Road. I'll turn it over to the city clerk if there's anybody to speak about it.
Mildred Klein.
I'm sorry, I was just honoring my name because I did, I just like to talk.
We're
But
listening.
but you know what? We had a owner come up here a month or so ago, couple of months, I kind of lose. And she was trying to get her daycare open. I didn't know, I didn't have a lot of information on here. You know, all it says was childcare on the list. So I didn't know if it was this young lady that was still trying to get her daycare opened. And if so, I was gonna speak in favor of her daycare. I spoke once before, and about how vital and how important and how necessary and how convenient, how beneficial it would have been for the people that lived in that area who had children that could use her daycare. And at the time, she was not awarded that. So I don't know if she was up here again for that particular reason, but if so, I was just standing to say I'm still in support of childcare because I had children when I was little and it was so hard. If you've never had children, you really don't understand. But trying to get those children to a daycare that's conveniently located to, on your way to work, it's a lot of that stress as a parent. So I'm just speaking in favor of any childcare. I don't know if it's a home childcare, in-house childcare or not, but I was just speaking in favor of childcare. Thank you.
Council, you have any questions at all?
What?
Councilwoman Noah?
Yes, would someone explain to Miss Mildred about this child care facility, please? So she has a better understanding where it's located and the why.
Hey, city manager, please, would you give us a little bit more insight on this?
It already exists. We're just trying to do the paperwork correctly at this point.
I got a question.
Okay, Councilwoman Cousins.
So I saw a young lady stand up back there. Is it her daycare? Can we just bring her up?
Yeah.
Okay, can we do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ma'am, yes, would you come forward, please?
Hello,
Hello.
my name is Michaela Turner. I am speaking on behalf of 1020 South Florissant. We're a learning center. It's just really concerning zoning. That's it. So, yeah. You guys have any questions or? Yes, ma'am.
Been at that location?
Since 2015. So 11 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And what are your hours of operation?
6 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., Monday through Friday.
And ages of your kids?
We start at 6 weeks and then we go to 12 years old. The cutoff kind of is like 11, just because I feel like the 12-year-olds are like, they too grown to be there. So our oldest kid right now is 11.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. This concludes our hearing on our special use permit for daycare. We have the next one, we have a church special use permit. We have a special use permit for the church public hearing. City manager, please provide us some information.
Again, this is zoning for 114 North Clay for Cope Brilliant Presbyterian Church. They're applying for a special use permit to operate a church at that address. And I'll turn it over to the city clerk if there's anybody to speak about it.
Alan Mueller.
Hi, it's Alan Miller, 435 Darst, appreciate it. So I'm presenting tonight as a nearby neighbor. I've got 3 minutes here of really nice comments in support of the thing, but since the meeting's going long, I think I'm just gonna give you a quick summary. We are very pleased that the Presbyterian Church was offered to Cope Brilliant in their times of trouble. Since they located there, they have re-enlivened the neighborhood, serving as good stewards and maintaining the structure and site. The church is also providing valuable services to our community, and they're a welcome addition to our neighborhood. And my wife and I hope that you approve their special use permit. Thank you.
This concludes our public hearing for the special use permit for the church public hearing. We move to the consent agenda. Council meeting minutes. We have boards commission minutes for approval. We have a regular city council minutes for June the 23rd and civilian review board minutes for June the 15th. I request a motion and a second to approve the council minutes meetings and receive and file the boards and commission meetings.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Appointments. Oh, sorry, the boards and commission meetings minutes have been approved. Appoints. Yes, Mr. Franklin.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a motion to amend the agenda and to reappoint Courtney Olmsted and Ed Benton to the library board.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Courtney,
Oh, now you have to take up the appointment. We've amended the agenda. Now you have to have another motion.
you guys have another motion?
Okay. All right, so I motion to appoint Courtney Olmsted and Ed Benton to the library board effective immediately.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Courtney and Ed Benton will be reappointed to the library board. We have we have pending boards and commission appointments. I have requested a motion to reappoint Nathan Arnold, Azalea Menace, and Darcy Desi Briscoe to the Civilian Review Board. reappoint Philip E. Phil Lum to the Architectural Review Board. Reappoint Courtney. Oh, we already did that, okay.
So moved. Who?
Oh, Frederick Benner to the Library Trustee Board.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. We move to request. We move to liquor license request. I request a motion and a second to approve the liquor license for Nene's Twisted Treats, Mini Mart 3, and Turkey Time.
Mini Mart 3 is where? Oh, that's the one up on North Florissant by Calverton Park.
So moved.
City manager.
That's Mini Market 3 is the one by Calverton Park, right? Dave? Okay, I'll second it then.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. The liquor license have been approved. Proclamations. We do not have any proclamations tonight. Resolution. We move to resolution 2026-28 without objection to be introduced by Councilman Franklin, Councilwoman Noah, and Councilman Kassoff. If there are no objections, Attorney Ryan, could you please read the resolutions? Councilman Kassoff.
Yeah, I need to remove myself as a sponsor. I was unaware at the time that I signed as a sponsor, but I actually have a conflict of interest on this.
Councilman Kassoff will be removed from the resolution. All in favor?
There doesn't have to be.
Yeah, good, okay. Attorney Ryan, would you read the?
Thank you, Mayor. A resolution of the city of Ferguson, Missouri, granting a special use permit for 3402 Herschel Road to construct a new communication antenna on the Florissant Valley campus, subject to the conditions, restrictions, and requirements set forth herein.
City manager, would you please explain the resolution, please?
Yeah, this is to construct the cell phone antenna that was spoken about earlier. I don't think there's a whole lot of questions, but if there are, I'm more than happy to try to answer those.
Any questions?
And sorry, I misspoke. Radio tower. I think I said cell phone, so I apologize. Yeah, just to correct the record. It's not a cell phone tower.
I request a motion and a second for approval.
So moved.
Second, Naquita Noah.
City clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Franklin,
Aye.
Councilwoman Noah,
Aye.
Councilwoman Covington,
Aye.
Councilman Kassoff,
Abstain.
Councilman Palmer,
Aye.
Councilman Williams.
Aye.
I'm sorry. Hair sharp.
Oh, yeah, resolution, it passes. Resolution 2026-28 passes. We move to resolution 2026-29 without objection to be introduced by Councilman Franklin and Councilwoman Noah and Councilman Kassoff. If there are no objections, Attorney Ryan, could you please read the resolution?
A resolution of the city of Ferguson, Missouri, granting a special use permit for 1020 South Florissant Avenue for a special use permit for a child care center, subject to the conditions, restrictions, and requirements set forth herein.
City Manager, please explain the resolution.
Yes, this was the one about the daycare down North Florissant, again, fixing the zoning, questions. If there's questions, we're gonna have to answer them, but I think they've pretty much been answered at this point.
Councilman Palmer?
I will disclose that a company I own a portion of owns this property. We purchased the property in 2021. The daycare was in operation at the time of the purchase, but no way is my company affiliated with this organization that has applied for this special use permit.
Any other questions? I request a motion and a second for approval.
So moved.
Second.
City Clerk, call the roll for the resolution.
Councilman Franklin,
Aye.
Councilwoman Noah,
Aye.
Councilman Cassoff,
Aye.
Mayor Shropshire,
Aye.
Councilwoman Covington,
Aye.
Councilman Palmer,
Aye.
Councilman Williams.
Aye.
Resolution 2026-29 passes. We move to Resolution 2026-30 without objection to be introduced by Councilman Franklin and Councilman Kassoff. There are no objections. Attorney Ryan, could you please read the resolution?
A resolution of the City of Ferguson, Missouri, granting a special use permit for 114 North Clay Avenue to operate a church subject to the conditions, restrictions, and requirements set forth herein.
City Manager, could you explain, please?
This would be the same scenario. This is the church located in North Clay. I don't think there's any opposition to it, but if there's questions, I'm more than happy to answer them.
I request a second. I request a motion and a second for approval.
So moved.
Second, sorry.
City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Cassoff,
Aye.
Councilman Franklin,
Aye.
Councilwoman Noah,
Aye.
Councilwoman Covington,
Aye.
Mayor Shropshire,
Aye.
Councilman Palmer,
Aye.
Councilman Williams.
Aye.
Resolution 2026-30 passes. We move to Resolution 2026-31 without objection to be introduced by Councilman Franklin, Councilwoman Noah, and Councilman Kassoff. If there are no objections, Attorney Ryan, could you please read the resolution?
A resolution of the City of Ferguson, Missouri, endorsing the Ferguson Special Business District's participation with the Missouri Main Street Connection.
City Manager, could you please explain the resolution?
Yes, this was a resolution like it outlines about the Missouri Main Street connection. You received a very extensive memo outlining this, but if there are questions, I do have Nathan and Luke here to answer them, but I don't think there's much opposition to this one either.
I request a motion and a second for, sorry. Councilman Palmer.
I was curious, is this a move on behalf of the Planning and Development Department, or is this something that FSBD is advocating for?
I believe it was a bit of a joint effort, but I will gladly bring Nathan up to answer that question.
Yeah, I mean, I would sort of phrase it like that. I mean, I did bring the idea to everyone, but the board would be the one that would become a Main Street organization, so it's chicken egg, I guess.
Their board has to establish a 501c3, is that correct?
Say it again?
They do need to establish a 501c3, is that correct?
I don't believe, I'm not sure, but if they do, then that's what the board will do.
Were you aware that Ferguson did already have was already a participating member of Missouri Main Street from like 2012 till 2021?
I don't know any of the old history. I know we are a member of the organization. The city is a member of the organization, but we don't have an official Main Street here.
We did. Were you familiar with that?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I was on the board from 2012 till 2021. So, I'm in favor of it, but I will say there is a lot of work that goes into this. It took a lot. We were a 6 or 7 member board, and there was a ton. We actually had paid administrative staff part-time. There is a lot of thresholds that you have to meet And I know they're probably still preaching success stories such as Excelsior Springs, Missouri, and different areas like this that had robust budgets and I think TDDs to help fund it. So I know that there is a lot of cost and legwork between building business directories, and there's a lot that goes into this. So I wasn't sure, is this going to be a function of staff or is this going to be a function of the board, the business district board themselves?
Well, I mean, the staff is not gonna be, it depends if the city wants to commit staff time to that, or the board will do that. You know, obviously the board has a budget as it is. So that's a huge step in the right direction. But, you know, they'll have to abide by the guidelines of Main Street and so on and so forth. So, you know, a lot of that will cross when we get there, because we'll have to be developed and figured out at the time. But, you know, it is sort of assumed with this that there's a city commitment and that everyone is on board and understands what's going on, to be a Main Street.
Is this still similar to the process where Missouri Main Street Connection will provide a designated member of their staff at the state level that kind of helps guide within reason the board? Is that kind of how it still works?
Right. So, and what we're applying for now is basically a 2-year grant to get, they would get it all set up and get us established and going. So we'd have a lot of guidance for at least 2 years with them.
There's a state convention, there's a national
Oh, yes.
convention, and yeah,
All that.
we actually attended both. I was fortunate that the year the national convention was happening, it was in Missouri.
Yeah.
We
The state one, I think was like last year.
it usually flip flops east to west side of the state. Thank you.
I request a motion and a second for approval.
So
So move, Naquita Noah.
City clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Franklin,
Aye.
Councilwoman Noah,
Aye.
Councilman Castle,
Aye.
Councilwoman Covington,
Aye.
Mayor Shropshire,
Aye.
Councilman Palmer,
Aye.
Councilman Williams.
Aye.
Resolution 2026-31 passes. We move to resolution 2026-32 without objection to be introduced by Councilman Franklin, Councilman Kazoff, and Councilwoman Covington, and Councilwoman Noah. If there are no objections, Attorney Ryan, could you please read the resolution?
A resolution authorizing the city manager to execute the necessary documents, submit a project proposal, and execute an agreement for a grant in aid under the Municipal Parks Grant Commission.
City Manager, could you please explain the resolution, please?
Well, I'm gonna bring Joseph Seastrom to the podium so he can outline this entire project, so I don't feel like he's here for no reason.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. You should all have a handout for you. That kind of outlined it. It was emailed to you, I believe, as well, and attached to the memo. But every year we have a chance to go for this Parks Municipal Grant from St. Louis County. We've gotten this 18 times. It has funded over $4.6 million in projects in Ferguson. The last one being 2 years ago for the new playground at the community center. We thought this year my staff and department would be a great opportunity to go ahead and redo the sand volleyball courts. If you've seen their current condition and the usage over the last 11 years that we've had, we've tried a lot to get them usable, may keep them maintained and get leagues going. It's just not been successful. So unfortunately, we feel the better opportunity is to install multi-purpose courts, very similar to what we did with the mini pitch, but these are very, very multi-purpose, and that's something I've found to be super successful. These will be lined for pickleball. We can set up pickleball. They can be set up for indoor volleyball, no sand, or but they're laid with the same tiles that are out at the mini pitch, as you've seen that. You can play soccer on them. You can play basketball. The ball doesn't bounce as good as a regular court, but still for kids, activities, literally you can do anything. With our summer camps, honestly, building that playground that we opened last October, we've seen such an increase of families coming to the center, going there instead of our other parks to use that brand new playground. So I want to be able to provide more to them. This is a 95-5 match, so we only have to pay 5%. It was budgeted for as I was planning to apply for this, so I will happily answer any questions. You have some examples. None of that is exactly what it looked like, but the goal is to provide multi-purpose courts and then leave an area in the middle. Because we put in that playground, we lost some grass area. So the grass area will provide us some opportunity for our egg hunts, just open activities and things like that between
The biggest thing with this is we can keep our lights, instead of having to tear out all of everything and start over. These courts, since they're so versatile, we can put them in between to keep the light poles, so we can actually do night programming as well. I'll happily answer any questions that you guys have on this.
Councilwoman Noah?
Thank you. Just for clarity, Director Seastrom, when these grants are written and we're requesting the funding, is there an opportunity to use the funding for just repair of our park equipment? So I understand that this is for the volleyball, to replace the volleyball courts. But will there be any opportunity, I mean, to replace any equipment in any parks or upgrades to any restrooms or benches? Or is this solely for the replacement of the volleyball courts?
This is just solely for that. This grant for projects that are eligible and what we can go for, some of these turnkey projects, they don't, repairs and maintenance, is harder to get with this grant. They prefer, new playground builds, new builds and things like that. So felt this one was a great opportunity for that program. But we're still obviously looking at grants for bathroom. A lot of people, grants for the bathrooms and repairs to already ones are harder. But I'm still looking at any opportunity I can to do that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Dave.
I just want to expand a little bit. I sat on the board for this grant for 5 years, I think, if I remember correctly. And it's solely based on a point system. And Joseph's 100% correct. Anything that's looking for repair, maintenance, that kind of stuff, you get way less points than if you're going for a new program or new builds and new improvements to your parks. So this is one that you definitely cannot use those funds for. That's all.
Okay, thank you, City Manager. I request a motion and a second for approval.
So moved.
Second, Covington.
City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Cassoff?
Aye.
Councilwoman Covington?
Aye.
Councilwoman Noah?
Aye.
Mayor Shropshire?
Aye.
Councilman Franklin?
Aye.
Councilman Palmer?
Aye.
Councilman Williams?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-32 passes. We move to resolution 2026-33 without objection to be introduced by Councilman Franklin and Councilman Kazoff. If there are no objections, Attorney Ryan, could you please read the resolution?
Resolution authorizing the acceptance of the donation of canine police unit from the city of Pageville.
City Manager, would you please explain?
This was outlined earlier. And there's a great memo that Chief Doyle also included, but basically this is acquiring the dog from Pagedale. Total cost is $1. The funds to maintain and keep up with the canine were also already budgeted for and allocated. But if there's more questions, Chief Doyle is still here to answer them, or I can trust him if you have them.
Sure. Councilman Franklin.
Real quick, where will the dog be housed or the canine officer be housed?
So the dog is all canine officers usually take the dogs home. That's part of them, that's part of their family. Keep in mind, we always had a canine unit. Obviously we had some not mishaps, but some issues a couple years ago where I disbanded the canine unit, and we're just slowly bringing it back. We have solid policies and procedures in place.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Councilwoman Cummings.
How old is the puppy?
It's not a puppy, but it's a good question. I forgot. It is, I have it written down in the contract. I forgot how old. Yeah. Radar is the name.
Radar.
Yeah.
And Chief, you can be accepting donations from citizens for food? Is there a certain type of food that? If
not a dog handler, but I'm certain that they,
but you would take donations?
Yeah.
That's
Usually we have a lot of support out, as far as like different organizations for, food and support for canine dogs.
That's a great thing. If we get donations in to help you out on the food part. Appreciate you.
Yep.
That's it. Thank you. Thank you, Chief. I request a motion and a second for approval.
So moved.
Second.
City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Cassoff?
Aye.
Councilman Franklin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Noah?
Aye.
Councilwoman Covington?
Aye.
Mayor Shropshire?
Aye.
Councilman Palmer?
Aye.
Councilman Williams?
Aye.
Resolution 2026-33 passes. We move to resolution 2026-34 without objections to be introduced by Councilman Franklin and Councilman Kazoff. If there are no objections, Attorney Ryan, would you please read the resolution?
The resolution to approve and authorize a second amended and restated redevelopment agreement by and among the city of Ferguson, Missouri and 0616R LLC and North County Festival Square Community Improvement District, authorizing certain actions in connection therewith and containing a severability clause.
City Manager, would you
Again, there was-
please explain?
Yeah, again, there was an extensive memo on this one. This is about the North County Festival CID up on West Florissant Road. If there's questions, I have Nathan and Luke here as well, but I don't think there's much on this one.
I request a motion and a second for approval.
So moved.
Second.
City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Cassoff?
Aye.
Councilman Franklin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Noah?
Aye.
Councilwoman Covington?
Aye.
Mayor Shropshire?
Aye.
Councilman Palmer?
Aye.
Councilman Williams?
Aye.
Bill 2634 passes. Resolution. Resolution 2026-34 passes. We move to bills requiring first reading. Without objection to be introduced by Councilman Franklin and Councilwoman Noah. Attorney Ryan, Attorney Ryan, to read the bills by title only.
An ordinance of the city of Ferguson, Missouri, providing for the submission to the qualified voters of the city of Ferguson, Missouri at an election to be held on November 3rd, 2026. A proposition to increase the additional sales tax by 1% for the purpose of providing revenues for the operation of the municipal fire department.
City Manager, can we have an additional explanation on that, please?
Yes, I heard the public comment during the public hearing, so I wanted to address some of the concerns. I won't go into great detail, but I want to be clear that the fire department also made sacrifices in their staffing. They are currently at a skeleton crew when it comes to their department. They are running 3 firefighters per truck per shift, 1 captain per truck per shift. They have a total 4 assistant chiefs, that's 1 per shift between both houses. So 1 chief is covering both houses, and they have admin chief and they have their head chief. So they are running bare minimum. They've had several retirees to talk about the staffing reductions, retirements, and all that stuff. They were able to cut $200,000 from their budget as presented to council. Council's aware of that. Bottom line is cost of fire equipment has increased. All of our firefighters are paramedic trained, and they are able to administer life-saving drugs and everything else, the highest level of firefighters you can have within a force. These dollars are being generated for the fire department, which is funded out of the general fund to offset overall spending throughout the city. You have to remember that the general fund covers police, fire, all general expenses. The only other fund in the city is the parks fund, outside of some special funds and that kind of stuff. But when it comes to actual day-to-day operations, you're looking at either general or parks. So by increasing this, we are helping, yes, citywide, but this money is being dedicated to the increased costs in the fire department, which will help offset some of the police funds, that kind of stuff, and help across the board. But these funds are dictated straight for fire because the bottom line is the tax dollars the fire department itself is generating does not cover all the expenses within the city for the fire department as it stands right now. So I just wanted to be as clear as I could on that first reading for that. If there's questions, I'm more than happy to try to answer them.
Real quick. we move to bills requiring a second reading. I request a motion and a second to read the bill number 7347 a second time and place it upon its passage.
So moved.
Second, Lamika Covington.
City Attorney, please read the bill by title.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Ferguson, Missouri to execute the deed and acknowledge other documents in order for the real properties to be transferred to the city for city development and or beautification.
City Manager Musgrave?
Again, Nathan wrote a great memo on this. This is basically the post-third stuff. If there's questions, we're more than happy to answer.
City Clerk, roll call, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, I couldn't really hear. Aye.
Mayor Shropshire,
Aye.
Councilman Franklin.
Aye.
Councilman Palmer,
Aye.
Councilman Williams.
This is for 34, correct?
7347,
7340.
the bill.
Aye.
The bill number 7347 passes. Unfinished business. Do we have any unfinished business? Councilman Franklin?
So I'll speak briefly to the first reading as it relates to the sales tax, so 1/4%. You know, so it goes for fire and EMS services. And I agree with the rationale that whatever we generate for fire, if the citizens vote to pass it, we can offset what we've already allocated in the general fund to fire and use it in other places like the police or infrastructure or any other capital improvements that we may want to consider down the road. So I did my research before I sponsored this bill. Between St. Louis County, St. Charles County, Jefferson County, there's about 40 fire districts that are going out asking their voters for a 1% increase. We're doing 1/4 of that. And as you can imagine, the price just for what we have in place now, if you look at 2019 versus today, everything is up. So the fire department, it's more expensive to outfit, man, and maintain that infrastructure. And Ferguson decided a long time ago that it was going to have its own fire department, which I support. So again, at the end of the day, the voters of the city of Ferguson, in my opinion, should have the right to decide if they want that sales tax in place, because it won't be a tax just levied against the people of Ferguson. It's a tax for anybody that comes to and from, that's doing business, that's shopping in our city, eating, entertainment, whatever it is. So again, this isn't something that the council can just pass and ratify and now it becomes a reality. It's still going to come down to that ballot. So I think Ferguson residents can make their decision. And again, I'm just gonna put it out there. I advocate for it because I think about the cost to do it, to run the city. And then I think about this council will have the task of making sure we allocate those fundings in the general fund that would normally go to fire to other areas of the city. And so that's my spiel. And that's all I got.
Councilman Casson?
I just want to add one thing briefly. It is absolutely true that the cost of doing business, whether it's a fire department or anything else we do, has gone up over the years. But I'm looking at my tax bill and my tax bill's gone up too. So my property tax in 2016, and a slice of that goes to the city, some of it goes a whole bunch of different places, but my property tax has gone up from $22.74 in 2016 to nearly $3,500 in 2025. So there's more money coming in. And as far as sales tax goes, that sales tax is 1%. So a gallon of milk goes up in price, or a television set or whatever else you buy, If the sales tax rate stays the same, we get more money when the price of things goes up. So it's a little disingenuous to say, well, things are going up, so we need a higher rate, because the fire department and the city are purchasing things just same as we are. We pay sales tax and property tax that's going up. So what we're really talking here is giving up a bigger slice of a pie that's growing. The pie grew, and the slice the city got was gonna grow regardless, but they wanna grow it some more. And that's what we're talking about here. So, and that's all I have to say. I'm not gonna speak to the merits of whether we need it or why we're here, but because there's a lot of issues, and I personally feel like we ought to get those issues dealt with first, but the city's definitely getting more money.
Councilman Franklin?
So I'll just add one comment. Last year, July of 2025, the city of Kirkwood, they put on their ballot a 0.5% sales tax increase to support infrastructure of roads in their city. So, that, again, we're doing just a quarter this for our emergency services and fire, but some up here think Kirkwood is the model city, and they're also doing that sales tax for a different, issue in their city. But again, it's a sales tax that everybody pays into, and it's not going to be on your personal property or real estate tax bill. It's a sales tax that you'll get when you buy goods in the city. So just wanted to add that.
Councilman Palmer?
City Manager Musgrave, when did your employment begin here?
March of 2014.
So are you familiar with the Prop S that we passed in 2012?
Not vividly, but I know of it.
So the $8 million general obligation bond that was put forward for the fire department? When those bonds are temporarily, the fee is added onto our real estate tax bill temporarily, is that correct?
I believe there's 5 years remaining. It's 4 or 5 years remaining, but yes.
So it's like 15 or 20 years. And do you have any idea what the financial impact would be once those bonds have matured?
Not off the top of my head, but I can get it for you.
And then my next question would be, is it the intention of the city, once those bonds mature, to do a no tax increase bond measure?
But that's still 4 or 5 years down the road. There's a lot of time that's gonna happen in between that. I honestly can't speak.
So those discussions haven't happened anywhere? Thank you.
Councilman Williams?
So I'm a no on the tax. I like what it's going to, the general fund, so it's not just for fire, it would go to EMS and police. I'm against the tax because my core beliefs, I want less government and less taxes. So I order a lot of stuff online, and when I put in that Ferguson address, the taxes go up significantly. If I put in a different address, the tax go down. So I think we're already taxed enough, and you can't tax your way out of situations. And if you look at our country, the places that have less taxes are actually flourishing. Like if you look at Texas, they have no state income tax. If you look at Florida, they have no state income tax. If you look at the areas that are heavily taxed, it's typically higher crime and lower education. So taxing your way out of a situation doesn't resolve things.
Any more old business? We move to new business. Ms. Noah?
Thank you, Mayor.
Councilwoman Noah?
Thank you. I kind of mentioned this earlier. The new business is, and I would like to hear from the council, the city, staff, city manager. Maybe we don't have to go, talk long about it right now. If there's a way that we can work with the apartment complexes, or pass legislation, we may have to pass legislation. That's why I want to hear from the council if anyone is interested. In mandating that if an apartment complex has X amount of units, and again, that's something that I would like to hear from the council about, if there's interest, mandating that they have their private security. Because again, we just don't have the capacity. And I think it would be a preventative measure. No, nothing is perfect. You know, you can't stop crime, you can't, but in our roles, our role is to try to come up with preventative measures if we can, legally, of course. So I just wanted to hear from you all, you know, to get a little feedback, to, you know, hear if there's any interest in that, if you all, what do you all even think about the suggestion?
City manager?
I may be wrong, but I believe that we have started down this road previously. What I would like to do is consult with legal counsel first to see the legality of what we can and cannot do as far as requirements for apartment complexes. I don't know that we are able to mandate security cameras or private security, those type of things, based on them being an apartment complex. Once I get that answer from legal, I'm more than happy to share that information with council via email in the next several weeks. And then if we are able to, we could work on legislation on the backside, but that is my gut statement out of the gate.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, that's, hey, let's find out what we can do. You know, at least at that point, we'll know, and we can share that with residents. So thank you, city manager.
Councilman Williams?
I'm definitely opposed to making any apartment complex or business have cameras. I think it's infringing on their rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And it costs a dollar amount. Cameras are not cheap. And a few months back, we voted to, everybody says it was the data center, but it was really the tax abatement. So most modern cameras are Ethernet based, which means it's internet. That data has to be housed somewhere, which is a data center. But that's neither here nor there. I would be opposed to that. If businesses want to get the cameras themselves, that's fine, but we should not be mandating what a business should or should not do as far as the cameras.
Councilman Kazoff?
Just very briefly, I want to say that I would make a distinction between a small packaged liquor store, which traditionally has been a concentration of crime and where there might really be a legitimate need for cameras, and what could be served by a small number of cameras, really. For a few $1,000s, you can get a camera set up, as opposed to an apartment complex, which, you know, the apartment complexes in Ferguson cover a huge amount of ground, and to outfit them with cameras all over the place, that would be extremely expensive. And honestly, the protection, the general policing of residential areas is a responsibility of the city. So, while I would 100% support making that a condition of a liquor license, because I think it would be a reasonable cost relative to the amount of revenue generated and problems that we experience there. An apartment complex is a different story. It's a residential area, and I think it ought to be treated accordingly, and we just need to step up with our responsibility. Now, I commend Park North for doing what they're doing. I've been through there, and they've got several of those big trailer cameras scattered through the complex. Those things are like $50,000 a piece. I don't know what they rent for, but if you buy them, they're like $50,000. So they can't be cheap to rent. And so they're obviously investing a lot of money in the safety of their tenants. I think that's commendable, and hopefully it'll get them better tenants there and pay off. But for the city to mandate something that's that expensive, that's a hard one for me to swallow.
Councilwoman Noah?
So just for clarity, the new business is about the security, not cameras, maybe I misspoke, but actual mandating security, like a security service, not cameras when it comes to the apartment complex. So that's what my new business is, not the cameras at the apartment complexes. The cameras are for with the liquor license at the convenience stores. So just for clarity.
Councilman Palmer.
I can speak from experience on owning commercial property subject to immense amounts of crime in Ferguson. I have no less than a dozen camera systems throughout the city that I can watch in real time on my phone or my desktop at home. I think most apartment complexes probably already do have cameras. In my instance, from what I've recognized around town, I provided footage to the PD after the BP shooting from 2 locations. They go out and they look for cameras and they ask people if they have permission to look at the footage. And I always have complied at all my different properties, but I think cameras do deter low-level crime, quite honestly, like throwing trash in my dumpster or maybe checking car handles, although I've had a ton of car break-ins the last 5 years. But when it comes to violent crime, I don't think people that perpetrate murder, shooting, or stealing cars give 2 craps about if there's cameras or not. Because I've had dozens and dozens of cars stolen off property, cars broken into, and they don't seem to care. They show up in a stolen car with no license plates on it, with hoodies on and masks, and all you can tell is it's a person with 2 legs. So I don't think it would be I don't think we should be making apartments put cameras up. I think most of them already do. Do you know from your experience, City Manager Musgrave, if a lot of them already do?
I venture to say a lot of them do. I want to be clear. I understood that Councilwoman Noah was asking about security. I was simply stating that I was going to ask legal about both options and what legal path we could pursue as a city as far as requiring those things. I understand that she was asking about security. I personally don't know what we can do either, but I'm going to ask legal what we can do and see if we can draft the legislation for either.
And as Councilman Kassoff mentioned, that security would be even more cost prohibitive. I mean, you're talking 6 figures to have security. I mean, Sharondale did a nice job putting up a 6-foot fence around their place and a gate that, although while open all the time, I mean, that probably has helped with people walking in and out. And they only have 1 entrance in now instead of 3 or 4. I would imagine that probably helped with crime, but they have cameras there. I'm pretty sure I've seen cameras there. So, I think if you're trying to get the apartment complexes under control and the crime, it's going to start, like people said, with the ownership and the management in the city, in code enforcement and law enforcement. You have to take a no nonsense, zero tolerance stance on all the things that lead to crime, the dumping, the illegal cars, everything slowly turns into people don't want to live in a place that has trash everywhere, no dumpster enclosures, trash not getting picked up, the pool's full of mosquitoes. You're not going to get very high quality tenants moving into a place that is like that. And that's when you start to see more heinous crime happen, from what I can tell. I don't have crime issues at my apartment building, my one, but my rents are cheap. I mean, I have nice apartments. I keep them up. I have cameras. I keep the parking lot clean. I keep the hallways clean, and people value that. And then you better believe the moment something happens, my phone is blowing up. The moment someone's dog defecates on the sidewalk and they didn't pick it up, I'm getting a call. The moment the restaurant doesn't get their grease trap emptied, I'm getting a call, but I handle those calls, where I think a lot of the other apartment complexes might just say, whatever, it's par for the course around here. So I think if we can do some other things internally that might help the owners help get better people. I think apartment owners, they don't want to have these issues, but they have to be encouraged, either somewhat by force or cooperation to do the right thing. And we have that issue at about 5 or 6 properties in the city. So thank you.
Any more new business? Mr. Williams? In the audience, Mr. Williams, would you come forward? Yes. Would you like to speak?
Hi.
Yes, sir.
This is for the community garden proposition in the empty lot. I think it would be a good idea to have like a community garden so like people can come in, you know, if they have any readily available seeds, they can like plant seeds, and people can also have like a nice way to get vegetables or produce if they need it. And it can also be like a community thing, so if it's close to their houses, people can get their produce from there and also grow their own if they have any seeds. And it would also be a nice little activity for the community to do. And yeah, that's why I think a community garden should be there.
All right. I don't, anything else you have to say to us this evening?
Thank you.
All right. Hey, thank you, sir. We appreciate you. We'll move on to miscellaneous. Councilwoman Noah?
Okay, I won't talk that long. I just want to say, I believe that Park Ridge does have private security, which has, calmed down the apartment complex. I know in 21, 22, when I came on council, there was a lot more activity going on there than there is now. Next, I will say thank you to to all of the Ferguson staff, and especially a huge thank you to the Park and Rec Department. This past Saturday and the 4th of July event are always great events for the community to come out, and it was really hot on the both of those days, but everything was great. And people really like that. Pop-up splash pad event. It was really outstanding. But again, thank you to all Ferguson staff. Thank you to Park and Rec. We appreciate you all. Forestwood Neighbors will meet the first Tuesday in August at 7 p.m. at Emmaus Bible Chapel, 900 Highmont at Hornet. Thank you to all of the residents who came out and spoke tonight. I do hear your concerns. We had a Southwest meeting last evening. We had around 16 residents that showed up. It was a great turnout. Thank you to Pat Washington from FPD and John from Code Enforcement for coming out and listening to the residents and, allowing them the time to voice their concerns. Some of them did come out tonight to voice their concerns. A huge congratulations to Captain Jimmy on your retirement. I believe there was a ceremony for him today. Is that correct, City Manager?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so congratulations to him and thank you for your service to Ferguson. Regarding the developer who spoke this evening regarding the property on South Clark, I believe that's the street. City Manager, is there any opportunity to work with him on that, or is that something that the city just cannot do at this time due to the lien?
So legally, we should not, because there is a lien in dispute with the property. That's been expressed to them. Unfortunately, when the property changed hands, it was not paid or caught by the title company. If we remove the lien right now, we have to go back through the entire process to reapply it and everything else, and that's an uphill battle to say the least. So unfortunately, legally, we need to leave that lien in place until it's sorted out with their title company and everything else, and why it wasn't paid at the transfer and all of that. So that's kind of a rock and a hard place.
Okay, thank you. Regarding the lot on Ellsworth Place, I believe the address is 831 Ellsworth Place because I couldn't find 837 Ellsworth Place, and it is owned by the city. So is there an opportunity for their homeowners to apply to the adjacent side lot program, City Manager, for her and her family to try to get ownership since they're already caring for the property anyway?
I don't want to misspeak because I've not done any research on this property. I did give them my business card and I have it written down in my notes to take a look into tomorrow, but I don't want to speak out of turn and say something that's inaccurate. So I'm not going to comment on that right now.
Okay, no problem. Hopefully the resident will reach out. Ms. Mildred mentioned earlier regarding the code of conduct for elected officials. Is it legally binding? I know when I first came on council in 2020, well, before I came on council, before we started on the council, it was myself, Phaedra, I don't know who else, won that year in 21. that code of conduct was approved by the council. And so I know it was approved by resolution. It wasn't a bill. As far as it being legally binding, can legal speak to that? Is that any input from legal?
So generally, as far as the legal implications of council governance, the city attorney does not have purview. That belongs to the city council to determine whether, they're a self-policing body.
Okay. All right. So the city council would have to determine if it's legally binding. And that probably would be based upon, we probably would have to make a motion and vote. I'm assuming, does anyone want to? Well, let me say my last piece of miscellaneous, and then if anyone wants to comment on that, please, in their miscellaneous, please do. Lastly, regarding the code enforcement, the resident on Ellison spoke out. I think she just, well, we talked, no, so not I think, she feels as though she's being targeted. She has nothing against code enforcement. She wants the neighborhood to improve, it's just, she stated to me that she didn't see any of those green flyers that they pass out in anyone else's door. And so I support code enforcement. I explained that to her. We are trying to clean things up while we only have 2 code enforcement officers. I mean, everyone knows that I have voiced my concern about the appearance of the community from residents' homes to businesses. And I'm not one who is looking for perfection at all. I don't expect anyone to replace the siding, even paint their home. But when it comes to the overgrowth vegetation and the tall grass, especially when it's on the sidewalk, whether it's a business or a resident, again, I don't expect people I'm a single person in the house, so I'm not trying to impose any unnecessary trouble in anyone's life. But we do want our neighborhoods to look nice. Appearance is important. Neighborhood sells homes. So I just hope that her concern was heard and there is a way to work with her. And I appreciate you all. Thanks for the time, and everyone be safe and well.
Thank you for coming out. Thank you for everybody online. Good night.
Yeah, I wanted to thank City Manager Musgrave, Acting City Manager Hampton when Dave was out of town, and Corey and his staff, as well as the Parks Department, for quickly remedying some serious situations that were brought to their attention. There were some health and safety issues that needed prompt attention, and they got to them quickly. So I know we hear a lot of, well, I complained and complained and complained and nothing happened, but in these situations it happened, and it happened timely. So thank you for that. That's all I've got.
Okay. I have a question for our attorney. I heard what you said about the code of conduct. We just passed, this council just passed 7 resolutions tonight. Are you telling me as the city attorney that you can't advise if they're legally binding moving forward?
No, certainly, resolutions duly passed by the city council are, actions by the city. If you read the charter, whenever the question of, is this binding? The way I'm interpreting that question is this enforceable?
Okay.
And in that respect, that question is not one that the city attorney really can answer. If you read the city charter, the determination of whether or not a council member is qualified is a question for the council. And so that's why I say it's the purview of the city council.
Repeat that. If a council member is qualified, you mean to serve office?
Yeah, the question of whether or not a city council member is qualified, if you read the charter, the question of whether or not the city council member is qualified, and, you know, you can infer whether they've done anything disqualifying, is not one that the city attorney is allowed to weigh on. That is a
Gotcha.
matter
That
of
makes
sort of-
sense to me, but I think the question is, this council in 2021 passed a code of conduct for council members to follow with one another, with the public. And so, you know, it was passed by that council at that time. And in my opinion, it's enforceable to this day because it's still, it's in our, it's on the website in the ordinances. So I guess we have the ability to enforce those guidelines, and then I guess we also have the ability to ignore them because ordinances are only as good as they're enforced. So I think the question that the public had, the question that Naquita had, the question that I have is, since we did pass that in 2021, should we be enforcing our policies and our ordinances and our resolutions?
Yeah, I know this is gonna be a very lawyer answer. You can see it coming a mile away, but I can't, you know, what the city council should do is one of those questions that, is kind of your guys's, department as opposed to mine.
And then I guess just entertainment, I guess if in the event that the city is sued because somebody believes we violated our ordinances, our policies, our procedures, then as our attorney, you would defend us based off of what's in our ordinances and resolutions and policy, correct?
So if, you know, always difficult to speak to hypotheticals, but in the event, you know, the city was sued and your legal counsel defended you, we would use, of course, every available defense, to defend the city to the best of our ability.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Palmer?
When the man was complaining about the special assessment that was levied on the property, was it a commercial property or residential property?
It's a residential property.
Okay, and he had title insurance?
That's my understanding.
We shouldn't even be talking about this then.
Correct.
Thank you.
And caveat, it's not an individual, it's a nonprofit that acquired the home, supposedly has title insurance, all those things, like that's the argument.
If this individual or their organization has title insurance, there's no reason to even, that they should file a claim on their title insurance. That's the reality of it, because every time you got a property is sold, the city of Ferguson gets a query from a title company asking for specials, a specials request. So my suspicion is there's either isn't title insurance or they haven't made that claim yet.
I don't want to go in the weeds, but it's a timing thing. So supposedly they called about the specials. It hasn't been processed with the county yet, and there was a gap in the timing there. I won't get in the weeds on it, but either way, they should have been covered by insurance, is my understanding.
Right. And it's not in the city's best interest to set a precedent of just waiving specials, I don't think, because then that could open up a whole issue of problems going forward, I would think, right?
100% accurate.
Thank you.
Thank you, City Manager. Councilman Williams.
So, about a week or so ago, January, Wabash was broken into. They stole the copper pipes. So they probably got about $50 scrapnel, but they cost thousands of dollars with the damage. So we know what the issue is: lack of opportunity, poverty, low education. What are some solutions? So one of the solutions I have, we have the community center, that was the church portion. We can use this facility to do job fairs or recruitment and maybe charge a business $50 to set up a booth. With that $50, we can do drawings or raffles for people coming out to give them incentive to come out. Because when people have jobs and opportunities in education, the crime goes down. So we know what the problems are, but can we come up with a solution? So one of the solutions was build a bigger gate, get bigger locks. If somebody's determined, I don't care how big the fence is or the gate lock, they're going to break it. So that's wasted money. Let's get to the root of the problem and giving people opportunities, jobs, education. You know, maybe Flow Valley can come there. A lot of people don't know you can actually get paid to go to school with financial aid, but if your parents didn't go to school, their grandparents, you don't know about that. That's an opportunity. So let's come up with solutions. And I said this at the Forest Wood meeting. It's a lot of seniors. They can't take care of their properties like they used to, cutting the grass, the trees and things of that nature. If you have a nephew or a young son, come together as a community or a village to have them do these things. And, you know, $15 a yard, $20 a yard. When I was a young man, I was 10 years old cutting grass in my neighborhood. I had a pocket full of money. So that incentivizes the kid to work hard, and it helps the seniors. It keeps them out of trouble. It's a symbiotic relationship. So we know the problems that Ferguson has with the youth and crime. Let's come together and figure out some solutions, because if we leave the young people behind, they're going to grow up to be older, and the crime is going to continue to increase. So we need to come together as a village and put some solutions to these problems. Thank you.
City Manager?
I just wanted to address a couple things that weren't brought up. And I know none of the people that brought these up are here anymore, so they'll probably never hear this, so it doesn't matter. But the ARPA dollars, there has been a spreadsheet on the website where all those dollars were allocated for the last 3 years. They were all spent, they were all allocated, that's all taken care of. That's done. The audit status, we submitted all the information, the state has it all. We have not got a response from the state. It's in a holding pattern. They haven't asked for anything else. So we're just waiting to see if they ask for anything else. But as far as we're concerned, that's taken care of. The liens were already addressed. Code enforcement violations, I think I went into detail on, but code enforcement officers typically are responding because a neighbor complained or something else was concerned, as far as report concern, those other things. But they do try to go down through neighborhoods and address properties that they see. Do they get every single property in the street? Probably not. Do they get every single problem? I know not. There's only 2 of them. They're trying to cover the whole city, but intentionally they're not typically singling anybody out. It's because a neighbor has called or somebody else has complained about something. So I did want to address that. I think that was everything that was brought up in the public comment, but I didn't want to go too rogue without that, but that's all I have.
Deputy Clerk London?
I don't have much. I just want to welcome and congratulate Carmen, to the city clerk position and back to City Hall. And, that's all. That's welcome. Thank you.
City Clerk Black?
Yes, I thank you for the welcome, and I would like to wish my grandson a happy first birthday today. He's watching. His name is Bryson.
Attorney?
Thank you, Mayor. Just 2 things. One, regarding, again, Chief, kind of echoing Dave's comment, Chief Doyle is not here. The dog is 3 years old. I couldn't pull up the contract in time, so I apologize, but the canine is 3 years old. So 21 in dog years. He's very mature for his age, though. So I'm sure it'll be a very good dog. And then the other thing, City Manager Musgrave, when you speak about the audit, are you referring to the notice that we got okay, all right, just thanks.
Thanks for you. Okay. I just got a few things that I'll make it quick. Tomorrow we're having, let's see, today's Tuesday. Tomorrow there is a community neighborhood organizational meeting at the at 6 o'clock. Is it Thursday? Okay, Thursday. Thank you. We're having a community organizational meeting Thursday at the community center at 6 o'clock. The purpose of this meeting is to organize to get our neighborhood groups together again. When I moved here, we had something like 15. Had a lot. I don't know, a lot of people have moved away, that participants, but we have to get some new blood in these neighborhood groups so we can be have better safety in our neighborhoods. I always say there's always somebody up at midnight looking out their window. There's always somebody up during the day looking out their windows. If you can attend, Deborah Rice Carter would really greatly appreciate it. I attended the funeral of Miss Martin, the lady that got hit by the stray bullet. Very sad. And you know, when you're mayor, it really, really, really drives it home on the happenings in our city. It really does. And I know the council feels the same way. I saw the video. It was like unreal. It's very eye-opening to see the kids. The kids are the main thing. And, you know, I listened to David talking, Councilman, and then I listened to his young son talking. This is where we got to start at. We have to start there. Because I have a jobs program, nonprofit called Jobs and More, STL. It started in 2015. And we're still going strong. It was going on really good up until just about 2019. Then all of a sudden, I can't get anybody to come. I can't get not one person to walk into my class. Adults, I reach out from 18 to 75 years old. I used to have a packed class. Now, hey, don't nobody want to come and sit in no class. I'm telling you from experience. They don't want that. They want money now and they want a job now. And always, that's not going on. But if we start with the young men like your son, David, and work with them there, that's when you start really driving home education. Get an education. So let's all do better in guiding our young kids. I know our school system is turned around now. Excuse me. Our school system is working good now. So and I need people to come to FYI, Ferguson Youth Initiative. We got the Boys and Girls Club. The Urban League has something going on. There's honor, men of honor. There are groups around town that are looking, that are reaching out. I don't know what you have to do to get them to show up. And then I want to say, hey, Miss Carmen Black, right on. You did a great job this evening. You really did. And we appreciate you. You know, I saw the working diligently that you've been doing, that you and Lovetta's been doing in the office. And one thing I can say, hard work pays off. And I see you two working very hard to get you in transitional position, coming from the police department and then cramming what we do in. I appreciate you doing the Roberts rules, brushing up on that. That's great. We need that. You are our guidance. You're my guidance. You're the council's guidance on the Roberts rules. We appreciate you. And at this note, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second, Lamika Code.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned. There can be blown down later.